This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. We are back. I went on vacation. Rich decided to hold up his end of the bargain and do 2 solo shows while I was out in foreign land. And then Rich said, I'm going on my 2 weeks vacation. And then I said, I'll do 1 week and I'll do the second week. And I was like, no, I'm not doing the second week. So we're back after a basically 14, 15 day hiatus. And there's a lot to talk about.
Jesus Christ.
So Rich,
yes.
Welcome back, man.
You know, the streets been calling. You know, they've been wondering what the real is, and we have answered. You know, we have arrived. Have no fear. You know, if you were missing your boys, we're here for the proper opinions on pro wrestling and everything else. You know, everything you can take with you to fight in whatever forum you may be in. You can either credit us or you can steal from us. It really don't matter. But yeah, you know, so. Lots of shit. So I was out of the state.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't go to Japan like James. I wish I did.
I mean, but, you went to Georgia.
I did.
Georgia, that wasn't Atlanta.
Look, I was about to say I wasn't in the A. But it was my wife's birthday. And we booked a cabin up in northwest Georgia, I want to say. So
east.
West.
I thought y'all were by Savannah.
So we were in both. So we spent a couple days in Savannah.
Okay.
We spent a day in Savannah, went up to Blue Ridge, and that was like 11 minutes from Tennessee. And then came back to Savannah, spent a couple more days there, then came home. Pro tip for anyone going out there in January in Blue Ridge, they don't have a lot of things that are open. It's kind of, there's something like, I guess it's called an off season. So it was a struggle to like pull up certain things. Like you would Google them, it would say open, you would pull up, and that would not be the case. I was quite frustrated at one point. Oof. But it's a quaint small town there, kind of nice for what it is. And I do have a funny story though about kind of where we were staying. So we had this big ass cabin. It was nice. Shit was raw as fuck. Like honestly, I wish like that was my place. But like there was a basement level to it. Great.
Okay. Because you know, like
Wi-Fi strong out there.
Okay, because you know, like some of the, you know, you get into like North Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama area, and like, you know, where one of my uncles has his cabin up, and man, like if you come down the mountain, you might have cell reception. If you go up the mountain, you shit out of luck.
It's tough, depending on where you're at.
And die or need emergency services.
Yeah, like it depends where you're at. I went to Helen one day, which is the place where they shot that one episode of Atlanta where all the people were dressed like Germans and all that.
Oh, wow.
Most of that stuff was closed though when we got there, so you know, it wasn't really too much to do, but did eat out there. That was about an hour away from where we were. But I was saying, as far as the reception in the cabin, we decided I was like, well, since we're like right near Tennessee, why don't we just go over there for lunch? And so I popped the GPS on, and I was bound to see it eventually. I was on the lookout. I was quite pertinent, aware of where I was at all times. So I'm taking, mind you, I'm 11 minutes away from the state line in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
There is a kind of a front way you can go, and then there's like a back way you can go. I like to get there
to get into the state.
Yeah, so like there's like you can either take like the back roads or you can take like one of the state roads. Okay. So the GPS took us through up some of these back roads, and I was like, all right, whatever. And you drive in, and all of a sudden, you look to your right. The good old Stars and Bars, love to see them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember that was like Georgia State flag for so long. Is like, so even you see that stuff everywhere. I mean, hell, you see that you see a lot of that. Hell, you can just go to like the town you used to stay in, Palm Harbor, downtown Palm Harbor. Yeah. Yep.
But luckily it was like, you just drove by and then, whatever, but we get to Tennessee. I was doing shit like leaning over the state line. It was pretty funny. They have this big blue line that just cuts through, and it's like the state line. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm a geography buff, so I thought it was pretty cool just being on a state line. Went out there and then, hung out in that cabin. It was awesome. Like I said, 3 stories on it, out in the woods, in the middle of nowhere. It was pretty cool. Nice little city. Savannah was a little bit different, a little bit better, actually. It was a great soul food restaurant. It was like called Sisters of the New South. Went out there. It was pretty cool. And I think Savannah's a little bit, Savannah's a nice town. Like it looks like, there's a lot of historical stuff to look at. We saw all the places where they were at in Forrest Gump and all that. It was, I'm a huge Forrest Gump fan, so I thought that was pretty cool. But something else I did. But overall, before I get that, overall, it was a nice trip. Drove with Catherine. It was it was much needed, I would say, not only for me, just, taking a break from the show. We're doing this every week and everything, but it was great for me and Catherine, and, ended up driving all over the state and everything like that. So had a lot of fun driving on the highway. Nothing crazy, no real bad traffic. But I guess the other thing I should probably talk about, I guess since it's in the can now, so I joined the Swerve City podcast last Thursday night with Montezi and Swerve, and we interviewed Kenny Omega. So I let the cat out the bag a few weeks ago to people that were on the live stream. You guys aren't going to want to miss this interview. Spent about 2 hours with him. Super cool guy. Walked in, shook his hand, said what up, and we chopped it up pretty much about a lot of stuff that I wanted to really know. I didn't ask about the CM Punk shit. Quite frankly, because like
time and
personally.
Place. Yeah,
I don't I don't feel like that's my interview to have, essentially. Yeah. If he wants to say that shit, he can put it in the book, he can put it wherever. So, but besides that, I thought, I pretty much asked almost every question I wanted to. It was a great experience. And I was like, meeting your favorite wrestler of all time and kicking it with him for like 2 hours, that was like, I don't know how I ended up there, but big shout out to Swerve for facilitating that. And it's a really cool thing. There's some nerdy questions in there. There's some stuff like stuff that I don't have really any clue about. They started talking about Marvel at one point, so I was like, I don't really got nothing here for you, Chief. But yeah, I think if you are a big fan of Kenny Omega's, you're probably going to enjoy the interview a lot. And he gave some really thoughtful answers I asked him about Joshi. He talked about Cody Rhodes. He talked about just being in AEW, the differences between New Japan and AEW, and a lot of just recapping stuff for his career. And it was really like kind of a casual, like kind of smoothed out like interview. And obviously the pressure was on because he usually does great interviews with Dave. So this is a little different, but I say it's going to stand up just as strong because we got him on video and all that. And there's some stuff that's going to be clipped all up. Like I'm anticipating the news sites getting all over this. So that was like a real highlight as far as like ever doing podcasts and stuff like that. I would have never imagined something like that.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. This is at least your second time meeting them, right?
Yeah. Like I met him at a meet and greet a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But
that's why we have the drop at the beginning of the show. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know why they think that up to ask it. So I was like, we need to get Swerve on a drop or something.
We can probably make that happen.
Yeah. I mean, it was because you talked about like off air about like you thinking of making new intro music, whatever else. Like you just update some stuff, add some stuff, that sort of thing as time goes on. So yeah. The Omega thing, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that, you got to a lot of stuff that you thought was like really cool. Cause it's like, it's one thing when it's like, it's Meltzer and he just wants to get to like, give the general questions out. And Omega's a very good, thoughtful interview. But like, it's nothing when it's like, it's a fan that knows a lot of shit already. It kind of wants to see if like, there's more. So you give it like some real in-depth stuff and it seems like you got some goals. So that's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was like I was really like just trying to show that like I was there for a reason. So I felt like I got to really kind of I feel like he got to know that this person really understands my career. Okay. So a lot of stuff. So do not miss that. We're also going to be worked it out to where we're going to be able to publish that interview on the One Nation radio feed. I'm going to put it out a week after the video comes out just to kind of make sure it gets its proper run. And then after that, if you guys happen to want to take it with you, we'll have it on the One Nation radio feed. So if you guys are hearing this on the Social Suplex feed, that'll be incentive to come over and download it, on our feed.
Okay. So I blanked out what I was going to say to you. Let's just move on. From that to I know. When is the date of the release for Swerve podcast?
I don't know the date yet, but they had mentioned something about a Monday, possibly like next week's Monday. So we'll see how that's gonna go. Okay. All right. So I'm sure some snippets will come out and stuff like that. So you check Kenny Omega's IG and I'm on there. That's pretty funny to me. But yeah, and like I said, Swerve and TZ, they were so kind to let me come in and pretty much just be a big fan. So, it was awesome. Yeah, can't say enough. I'm probably gonna write a column about it once I see the footage. Okay, yeah, but Sheamus Nova is out of control. He's out of control. We're not gonna acknowledge that on here, but you're out of control. Swerve had a great week. Let's just say that.
All right, so now that we mentioned that, I think the next thing is to get to the NBA stuff, right? Or actually, the world of sports before we get to sports entertainment, right?
Yeah. Okay. Super Bowl.
You want to go Super Bowl first, or you want to? Yeah. Let's go Super Bowl first. So, Richard Derek Latta II has lifted his little B curse on the NFL. He actually watched the Super Bowl. This would be your first game, Super Bowl or NFL game in how many years now?
At least 5.
4 or 5?
The last one I remember is Falcons Patriots 28-3.
So that was
2017?
that was December 2017. Yeah. Not December 2017, January, February 2017. So yeah, it's been 5 years. You wrote out, I don't know if you posted it on Twitter, but like on Facebook you posted it, and I don't know where else you posted it, like your explanation for why you wanted to watch again. Do you feel like sharing that here, or?
Yeah. I basically like summed it up to where like, I felt like I was kind of done, like as far as like, how long I wanted to carry it. And it's not a situation to where like, I always kind of wanted to prove like, I don't like the NFL is not entitled to, my viewership or whatever comes, from it. Like I'm strong enough to like survive in life without the NFL. It doesn't doesn't move me like that.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing what I felt like was an injustice and was wrong and everything like that. But I didn't want to keep going for the sake of my pride on it, essentially. And if I didn't feel as passionate about it anymore, I just, wanted to make the decision to actually like support. Like I saw 2 black quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl. I was like, man, I really want to check it out. And I was like, I'm going to check out Mahomes.
You never seen Mahomes.
Hurts.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. You never seen Mahomes before. I mean, you've seen like me sending clips saying, bro, you got to see the shit this dude did. And I send them one of those like about every month during the season, or every 2 weeks of the season. But yeah.
But I held solid on it from, like you mentioned, 2017 till now. And, I wrote like 2 songs about it, like pretty much 2 letters to Kaepernick. Like I said, if I wrote a third one, I'm sure he would understand. But, the game moves forward eventually, like on this. And I thought, I set out to I feel like I completed what I set out to do.
Yeah.
I didn't, I don't know how one man being me was going to get Colin Kaepernick single-handedly back in the NFL. I don't think I was that unrealistic, but it was a principle thing.
Yeah. And I think ultimately like Kaepernick proved his point because he got a settlement. And 2, like, even if there were no thing where we believe him to be blackballed, like,
where is he?
Given his age and the number and how long he's been out of the game, it's not really feasible to think that he would ever come back. So it's like, so I get it. Even while you have stopped watching over 5 years, like my way it was so time consuming on like my weekly basis for watching NFL football has dwindled. Especially like once the pandemic happened and like they were just sending guys out there like with COVID and like you hearing all the stuff about like myocarditis as some of the issues, and it's like especially in college I was just like, I can't believe they're sending these kids out here to do this. I can't believe they're sending people out here to do this and keep potentially drop and die from this stuff, right? And so like it has definitely taken effect on my how much football I have watched over the last 3 years. Like I'll watch Florida State play. Like college, I'll pretty much watch them as college as I was before. But like NFL, like I'm watching my Vikings, and like I'll watch playoff games at this point. There's really nothing else. Like maybe if there's some like Mahomes game that interests me, like on Sunday Night Football, I might check it out. Maybe. But it's really mostly just I'm watching my Vikings. I'm watching my own team play. I'm not like flipping through or have like 2 screens on, or on red zone, injecting that heroin into my veins like I used to. So like it's and I gotta say, like when you're not like fucking off a whole 1 to like 7:20, and then you get from like 8:20 to like 12. Once you're not fucking off a whole day of your week to football, and you do it for a while, you're like, oh, this is kind of nice, man. Like, I can kind of go to place X, Y, and Z on a Sunday. Ain't nobody there. Right?
Yeah.
I can go to a grocery store after, like, 3 o'clock, and, like, ain't nobody there. I gotta wait in line for shit. Like, it's, I can go to, Home Depot or Lowe's, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this, we this, but, like, once you experience it, like,
Especially
traffic, like NFL has traffic on just killed on Sundays, and you never really realize because you're a part of the person that's part of the thing, like you're home or you're with your friends watching. But if you're not doing that, you're kind of like, yo, this is almost like is it a ghost town? Do people evacuate? Was there a zombie apocalypse I was unaware of? It's interesting.
You feel like this sense of freedom, and I kind of got that when I stopped playing fantasy too. It was like, damn, I'm just not like stressed out like about like my fantasy team all the time. Like it was freeing, like to not have to watch it. And I mentioned I was like, I don't think I'll ever like be like how I was, watching the NFL. Like I don't think that'll ever happen again. And I could easily like not watch going forward. I just felt like officially I was like, yo, I don't think I need to continue this, because like at that point it was like diminishing returns.
Yeah. So moving on to the game. Super Bowl 57. The Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts as their starting quarterback and Pat Mahomes and his Kansas City Chiefs.
Shout out to Floyd.
Yeah, shout out to Floyd. 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. He had never seen one before because the Chiefs have, such a weird history of like making a lot of teams that like in my lifetime have been fun as hell, and I've even rooted for at times or whatever else. Like the Priest Holmes, like Will Shields, Willie Roaf, Tony Gonzalez, Trent Green teams, like Dante Hall. Like I was a fan of those teams. They never got over the hump, and like. Now
Adam Geary says his Chiefs as well. Shout out to Adam in the comments.
Okay, shout out to you too. And also like now like seeing them and like this Mahomes thing and like they're on the now 2 titles in 5 years. They're on the 5 conference titles games, 3 Super Bowls. Like they're just like if they get they could possibly nudge us into dynasty territory. The level of success they've been at this half decade, and it's really impressive. And I thought like this game was great. Like high level execution on offense, high level quarterback play. You really only have like small moments where like quarterback play was bad, and it was kind of like the goofy fumble with Jalen Hurts. Really, but outside of that, like these quarterbacks were on their job, and I thought that like both offenses for most of the night were ahead of the defense, and I thought in the second half that like I don't know when I messaged y'all about it, but like I want to say somewhere in the middle of the third quarter, I was just like, yo, like the Chiefs game plan, whoever's putting it together or in collaboration with like Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid, like they know what they're getting on every play, and they're exploiting them at every opportunity, and like they just can't stop them. And like it's not even like it comes down to, will the Chiefs just fuck up? Like will they like not be able to execute, and that costs them? It's not like they're just feelings like they're just strategically ahead of them in the chess game. And
also, you talk about the chess game, that's kind of a long way to say, that the script, was written for the Chiefs,
Are we really gonna go over that whole Barstool Sports thing, and we're just gonna let the joke run and move on?
The script was scripted, so. But yeah, like I don't, strangely, like I don't feel like I saw like the best of Pat Mahomes, but it was just almost this like
the Eagles were so efficient, they kept them off the field a lot.
Right.
It wasn't even like they were trying to play keep away. It was just like they just kept being able to convert third and short, fourth and short, and just kept on the field. Like I think there were only 3 possessions in the entire third quarter, and that quarter went by so quick.
It reminded me like when the Giants would keep the Patriots off the field.
Like, that first half of that Super Bowl, yeah, definitely.
And I saw it, and I was like, man, this is like, this is kind of like a dream game to return to watching. I was like, yo, like, I'm trying to see some 49-48 ball personally, RL Pro Football, but
RL Pro Football,
but 38-35, and I was seeing Mahomes, I was like, yo, he's hurt, and then I was 24 to I think they go down 24-14. I was like, yo, I was like, he's not gonna miss a snap. Like he's coming back out there. They're about to put something in his ankle that we don't know where it came from. And I felt like they were coming back the whole time. Like I was like, oh, they're gonna figure this out. Like it was a matter of time. You can't keep them off the field forever. And as soon as they came out and they scored that first drive, I was like, okay, the momentum is turning here. The Eagles came out. They looked pretty good. Jalen Hurts impressed me a lot. And I didn't necessarily know how good he was. I remember him from college, but
right. And I'm still on that against him. I'm still waiting him because like
how fast is he compared to like Vic?
How fast is he?
Yeah, I couldn't really tell.
He's not that kind of burner. The thing with him is just that he is fast, and the thing with him is he's the quarterback that can lift like a running back.
Oh,
like he's like the guy that's like, his brother was a powerlifting champ in high school, a state champ in high school, and then like he was a little brother, so he was sitting. You know how it is with the little brothers in these sports where they go out there and they get like the same similar training, and if strong, you know, like Blake Griffin for example, or Serena Williams, where it's just like or Peyton or Eli, it's like they were around somebody that was at a high level and they were younger, and then they just were able to age into it. And they had a faster track, right? And just like, yo. What, like him squatting, you know, 500, 600 pounds and all that kind of stuff, like them 4th and 1s are just like, those are just.
Is that the new cheat code for like, you know, like, well, they always go for it on 4th and 1 now. Right. And they always just do that little dive. Like,
yeah, they just they both submarine and he just mushes forward and people behind him push if he can't get it. Yeah. Yeah. Like it's basically like having Cam Newton back there or having like Tom Brady with the weird lucky streak he has of sneaking. Yeah. It's automatic.
Yeah, but like Mahomes, like he had less than 200 yards passing, but it was just like he was throwing these lasers, and then he was throwing these sidearm passes, and then, you know, scrambling at the right time, and just it felt like he was this ultimate control of the game. Like it seemed like, as hurt as he was and as much pressure as he was facing, he wasn't bothered at all. Like that's what it felt like to me. It was like, oh, this nigga's playing the game. Like, you know, they say the game is slowed down for somebody. Yeah. The game is slowed down for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. To be honest with you, you look at how his game was his first 3 years, and like it was just so explosive because he also had Tyreek Hill at the time. Mm-hmm. And Sammy Watkins. So like they had this, you know, one of the fastest guys in the league, maybe the fastest guy in the league at the time, just a game breaker that he was just having, you know, stretching the field vertically and horizontally on like, you know, crossing routes and all that kind of stuff. To go along with Kelsey and a big body like Sammy Watkins. And then like they traded Tyreek Hill, which a lot of people were concerned about, especially because like the first like month of last season is like the only time in Mahomes' career where he doesn't look like himself, where like it's just automatic and like it's really easy. He used to turn the ball over, and like teams started playing a lot of like cover 4 on him, sitting like 4 deep, and he had to like learn how to like pick his spots and actually, instead of just being able to, you know, make it look easy, he had to actually have some patience and not try to force the issue. Because like the thing with him, it reminds me of, you don't see a lot of quarterbacks, but like most specifically is like, imagine if like imagine Aaron Rodgers was in John Elway's body and like was like not risk averse in the way that like you would see Aaron Rodgers be risk averse, like when he would play like the Seahawks cover 3 defense. Like he just like, he's not even going to look to the right side of the field next to Richard Sherman. He's like, I'm not even going to that third over there. I'm just going to focus on these 2 thirds I have. Or like when he would play like the Niners and he just like, he's not trying to push the ball on the field because he's not even going to try anything. Like Patrick Mahomes is like not like that. And so, like, that first month of last season, it was kind of weird because he was turning the ball over. He was kind of forcing things. It wasn't as easy. And then, like, came back this year.
Yeah, figured him out.
Yeah, and, like, right, people were doing that nonsense. And I was like, okay, all right. And then and then he goes back to kind of being, you know, what you've seen for him, you know, his first 2 years. And you're like, all right, this is over with. Like, we're done with is it a chance that there's somebody that he's not as good as he's been? And, you know, and then like he's grown from that, like he's learned how to, you know, be more of a scalpel as opposed to just, you know, at that point, like he was the goddamn Yoshi Hammer, right? Like for Smash Brothers, where it's just like, he could do anything and it's almost unfair. Now it's like, all right, teams now are just like, we're just going to hope to like keep him contained and not be so explosive as far as pushing the ball down the field. And we hope that like we can get him into the red zone and then like get him to kick field goals. That's kind of like the strategy. It's like they want him to just kill them with paper cuts, and now he's like, all right, I'll slice you the fuck up now. And it's and like to see that transformation over the span of just 1 year, it's been really impressive with him. And like to see it like on this bad ankle that's been in 3 playoff games now is super impressive. And like I've had a high ankle sprain before. I gotta tell you, that shit sucks. Because it's like, your ankle doesn't swell, but it's extremely painful. And like, you know, my situation, like they put like a thing in my cleat, like a soft pad, like elevated pad to absorb the pain or the force of it. But like with him, is obviously like he's a skill position guy. He's he has to run around and do all that kind of stuff. And it's like there's been times during these games where like at the end of the half, for example, when he ends up getting rolled up on, he looks like he's finna die on the sidelines. He comes back out and then lo and behold, like it seems like he's contained. He climbs the pocket and he's like, well, fuck it, I'll just get with my feet, and gets 30 yards and breaks their soul, and steals their souls from them. And it was just really impressive, and like hurts for all the stuff I've seen when like he got benched for 2 in the national title game, and because he couldn't get it done. He just could not. He was not a developed enough passer at the time, and the way they have used what he's good at and focused on that, and the way he has grown as a quarterback, like I don't think there's ever been a time in the league where so many quarterbacks get drafted and they have tools, and then like and then like the teams around them are actually like using these tools to their advantages, and actually like letting these quarterbacks be able to like expand upon that as they get time in the league, which is like they weren't doing that before. It was always square, square peg, round hole, and it took years of people like Cam Newton or Vic even, or all these other people, Alex Smith for another example, and then now it's like there's so many guys that come out of like Lamar Jackson and Mahomes and Josh Allen, who's basically he plays like he's fucking Cam Newton, except he doesn't realize he's Cam Newton at times, as far as the streakiness. And it's just interesting to see like where this league is going, as far as saying like, look, man, we can't just rely on guys just staying in the pocket, and like we got to use this similar to the college game where like these people need to use their feet to get yards.
Speed was always the answer, because
right.
Like I remember this is a conversation we had like a long ass time ago, where it was like, yo, as these defenses keep getting better, what is the thing that you need to beat them? Because obviously they're just going to keep getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and
right.
offenses are going to either stay the same and die, like and be pocket guys, and come out here and they have no ways to find windows or anything, or they got to get their ass out there and move and right. reset the the tables.
Yep, and make defenses more honest by like using the 11th man in the run game, which is always the thing when it comes to run plays. Like you hand the ball to a running back, the quarter is 11 on it's a 10 on 11. The quarterback's not in it, but once you put it in, it's 11 on 11. Now what? Now let's see what the free safety has. Yeah. And the way they use these quarterbacks now, a lot of them. Like even, the Niners, like the way they use, all the option stuff to read on people and all the RPO stuff, like the way that like, it's really hard to defend. It really is. And obviously that's what the league wants, but it's also like, it reminds me a lot of, with Kyle Shanahan's, version of offense with Andy Reid, who always was doing like weird, nasty shit, but now he's like jet sweep to the right. Kelsey's on the left. We're going to fake the jet sweep, and then right behind they have Kelsey come behind on a shovel pass, because everybody's basically coming out facing or reacting to the jet sweep. Like it's really nasty. It's really nasty what they can do. And also and then also like what you have with in LA with I forgot his name, head coach of the I've blanked on his name already. But anyway, like they're to give you so many looks to keep your head, to keep people's head spinning or whatever else, keep them from having to be from linebackers and defensive linemen be able to just trigger and have them slow up just a little bit, and that little bit like just opens up a crease in the run game and everything. Like it's really fun to watch NFL football, as opposed to just like drop back, pass, incomplete, drop back, 5-yard out, drop back, slant, drop. It's a lot more fun to see the run game implemented, because like that's the most fun thing for me watching NFL game is like somebody breaking through getting into the second layer of the defense, and the oh my god, I don't see where the safeties are right now. The same thing, could they break it? Like, and to see what the game had become, where it's just so drop back. I think this is more enjoyable to watch now.
Yep, script was scripting for sure. Official ACW. I think that is Keem. Keem was good, man. If that's you, but yeah. Did the defense know they was allowed to guard Travis Kelce? Every time I saw him getting the ball, there was just nobody within 10 feet of him. That's
often the case with him. He's never really covered, because And a lot of the stuff, like, you know, you're playing that deep cover 4 against the I'm gonna say the Saints, the Chiefs, like, he's gonna find pockets underneath all that stuff. You know,
sure.
Like, you know, like Gronk or any good tight end, any good slot receiver, they're gonna find pockets in the zone or up the seam or somewhere to exploit. And, you know, with the play action stuff, with all of the, you know, all the eye candy they show defenses over the course of a game. And even like some of the double move stuff they give, where it's like, okay, let's go to a drag and do a drag and come back. Well, it's like a long 7. Like, it's nasty the stuff he can do. And some of the innovative stuff they use on offense with him. And like, I think his touchdown though was like, that's not something that's not really that's not something that's foreign to a lot of playbooks. Like, that's a thing. But like, the thing that makes it impressive for him is that, like, he's a tight end doing it, and he was like, the dude, you know, he's in line, and like, they send the outside receiver on a deep post to take the safety, the single high safety, and then he, you know, the person that's guarding him is like, okay, I got it. You know, given the situation we are on the field, like, I have to jump on this out, and like, it's out and up, and he's just, you know, immediately sees it, reads it, wide open touchdown. Like, he's special. He's a Hall of Famer. He's not Gronk, but he's a Hall of Famer. And it's really impressive.
The funniest thing I saw last night, I swear that was like a fucking Nintendo play. It was the one, like, towards the end of the game, it was one wide receiver on the right. He faked like he was cutting inside and then just ran back to the left, and he was by himself.
Yep.
And I was like, bro, this is a Nintendo move. Like,
right.
Like they're playing around with it.
Right. So, in that position, like, and that was the second time they scored on a similar concept. Like, the first one they scored on was when a receiver basically came in motion and then, like, basically stacked behind Kelsey, and the two DBs had no idea how they were going to handle passing them off, because at that position, like, you can't run zone on goal line, you have to run man, because like, you just Travis Kelsey is basically like figures out where the hole is and just turns around and just right. So, like,
you talk about the hold now.
Well, in a second, but like, Kelsey just commanded so much attention that, like, they were trying to figure out, like, all right, well, we just figured both of them are breaking in, and he just basically cuts underneath him and comes right back out, and there's nobody in the flat, and Kelsey kind of, with his gravity, almost basically, like, he doesn't block both of them, but like, they're so concerned with him that he may as well have been blocking him, and he just escapes the end zone. Like, and then on the other end, like, the touchdown you're talking about, like, they're so afraid of the jet sweep coming around from left to right, then Mahomes handed to him, they're like, it's all man, so that dude has to run, his man has to run across the formation with him in case the jet sweep, and he has to meet him on the other end. But it's just, he stops, turns around, and, you know, he's basically over angled or over pursued that way, and now he's at disadvantage going back this way, and he's gone. And it was just really impressive to see how far ahead of they were on, like, goal line situations. To just got it, and like, there was nothing they could do. Really impressive. Now, you were wanting to talk about defensive holding?
Yeah. So, there are a lot. We were friends with some Eagles fans. They were not upset, or they were not happy last night at the end. There's a lot of people that were bringing up the call at the end. I believe it was
3rd and 7.
Yeah, something like that. And
it was 3rd and 7.
But he held him and then broke free. And Patrick Mahomes was like, you know, right. And it was kind of like that LeBron, like, with the ref, like, it was. That's what I was like. I'm surprised nobody clipped that. You know, he was telling, but yeah, they called. Telling? You know, they call holding on it, and you know, I saw it. I was like, yeah, that's a hold.
Right.
I think people were. I was like, if this happened in the second quarter, nobody would blink twice.
Right.
But game's on the line, and I guess people feel like they should swallow the whistles. But I'm like, why should they do that? Like,
right. So
yes, and as Adam said, the guy came out and admitted that he held him.
Right. So for me, on that, in my perspective on it was I'm looking at from, like, if you're a person that has a rooting interest in the Eagles, you see the ball get overthrown over because that was the Juju Smith. That was the Juju Schuster Smith, right? So, like, the ball gets overthrown. So, like, there's a flag, and like people immediately thought is like, well, it was you just call pass interference on a ball that's uncatchable. What the fuck? And I'm like, nah, that was clear. Like if that, like in those situations where that happens, it's the quarterback throwing the ball in an uncatchable area to make to force the flag being thrown on the part where it's incomplete ball. Like by giving you attention to like it's going to show on replay that this ball is inaccurate, and like the replay booth is going to show to the world millions and millions of people that like somebody got held. So the flag is pulled. I'm like, okay, that's offensive holding. Like, cause why was the ball that overthrown? And then they showed a replay. In the first replay, you don't get a good look at it, so like people are then very mad, right? And then they showed the second replay, and it's like, oh, he clearly just hugged him. What do we? There's nothing to discuss anymore. But people were mad about it, and for me, it's just like, nah, you can't do that, man. Like, especially because it's like, I understand his line of thinking is, if he scores, we give it up, we're done. But the hold was worse than if he had gave up the touchdown.
Right. And
because if he had just scored,
you got the ball back.
They get the ball back with a minute and 30 something with a timeout in their pocket. But that effectively ended the game because like I'm watching. I'm literally doing the math. I'm like, okay, so they're going to want to play. They're going to try to let him score. Hopefully he's smart enough to duck, similar to the second Patriots and Giants game where he like run, get close, fall down, and Jared McKinnon does that, and then there's gonna kneel on it and try to waste time before Mahomes out between snap and kneel down, take 4 extra seconds off the 40 between plays, and then they're gonna get a field goal. That's another 4 seconds. And then I'm doing math like, okay, they should squib it. You kick it in the field, kick it into the field. No, don't put them on it. Give them a touchback. Waste some more time. And like, I'm thinking like they're gonna have less than 8 seconds, and they ended up with like 6 seconens. I did all in my head that quick, and I was like, oh, this is over. Like this is officially over. And I was like, that was and I don't see people complaining about like the call because the call was bad. Wrong. I see people say like you don't call it at that time. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I hate that kind of refereeing. Like if you're going to establish a baseline, stick with the baseline. He grabbed, and the thing is like if people don't like that one about like they felt like it was weak. It's like it's cool because like he grabbed him on one hip and then he grabbed him on the other. It was 2 holds in one. People are only focused on the last one, but like he held him twice. So like, what is there to complain about? Like, don't do it. And then to do the mid, it was like, so now what are people going to still complain about? Y'all just want the Eagles to win because that was what you put money on or whatever else. I don't have a dog in this race. I don't care.
Yeah, like I was like, all right, but there was a halftime show.
Yes, there was
during that. And
what were your thoughts on the halftime show? It didn't seem. It's like listen to y'all. Like it didn't seem too positive. So go ahead.
I wasn't. All right, I was just keep it funky. Y'all come to One Nation Radio to hear the truth and how we feel about some of this stuff. And I thought it was mid, bro.
So what was your problem with it? The fact that she's not gonna dance, or you didn't like the songs?
It was like nothing was happening. Like it was just like, all right, she's just singing there. And I will say this about Rihanna: she's come a long way as a vocalist. I feel like, and it sounded great. It sounded amazing. And then, Bill's Mafia brings it up. She looked like she had no energy. We did find out there may have been a very good reason. She had no energy. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of just. Like, it was low energy to as Bill Mafia was saying, and it was like I just didn't think she was doing all that much. I thought there was a cool camera shot when she was on that stage, the floating stage, and
elevated
up in the air. But I was like, okay, she did like a Rihanna medley of like
a dozen songs.
Yeah, like a dozen songs, and I was like, all right, but like it wasn't like a performance. Like it wasn't like she was going crazy or anything like that. It was just like, She just rolled a 7 out there, like, a 7 out of 10. Just like, yep, I showed up. I'm not making any money off of this. However, I am getting this huge here audience, so I'll put this stamp on it. But no, I think I got to see like Rihanna like empty the gun and do the best she could. No, I don't think we got that at all.
Like, if you want to see
you don't have to lie about this. Like, I think people have, they were so determined to crown it for whatever other reason. It was just like visually and viscerally, I just wasn't that impressed.
Yeah, because one, she's not a great dancer, right? And there's no knock against her, but like, she's not a great dancer. And I was watching with someone that just like insistently kept trying to.
The G-Funk Super Bowl was way better than this.
Yeah, they moved to different places and they had different. They did. They put more thought into it than what Rihanna had in mind. Rihanna was that was a very minimal approach that she gave. And like, I have to rewatch it again, but I was watching with someone that just like kept repeating like every 45 fucking seconds. They're like, she looks pregnant. I'm like, okay, what else? How many more times are you going to say that she looks pregnant? She may be, she may not be. I don't care. I'm trying to watch this. You keep saying this. You're pulling me out of me trying to watch this. But anyway, so, if you want to see a great Rihanna performance, I would say pull up the VMAs for when she won the Vanguard Award. That was great. Yeah. It was almost like she was in a like a dance hall, like, and they kept showing different. That was
Rihanna versus Beyonce that night.
That was great, and I was judging her performance against that, and from that is like, you're right. This absolutely did not hold up to that. Like, your Super Bowl halftime performance should not be far inferior to your MTV Video Music Awards performance. But whatever. But I do cut her some slack because like she couldn't do like the wardrobe change stuff because of her situation, apparently. Like, what seemed obvious as you're watching it. And it seemed like she wanted to do it. Like, it's almost like she ended up pregnant again, and now they're looking around like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Because she can't really do much stuff now. And it's like, all right, let's put dozens of people around her, and they'll do all the dancing around her. But it's like, we're here to see her.
We're here to see her. We were finessed.
We're here to see her. It's unfortunate we end up in that part of the schedule or whatever else. But I mean, whatever. I just think that there should have been some discussion with her as far as, all right, you're going to do this much. You have a million records with a million different people. Maybe fly some people in to do X, Y, and Z. And like, even with, people over the years, like, you'll have, they had Maroon 5 one year. They brought out Big Boy from Outkast. They had Katy Perry. They brought out Missy Elliott. The West Coast medley was Dr. Dre and Snoop and 50 and Mary J. Blige and Eminem. Like, sometimes you need help.
I was like, man,
Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
Yep. And I was, thinking about it, I was like, man, I was watching her sing like All the Lights, and then watching her sing, Work. Like, I was like, man, it's great or it's unfortunate Drake couldn't finesse himself into an appearance, and it's even better that Kanye got to sit and watch his song getting performed while he can't show up. So I think he might want some of that back, but overall, I think we were kind of finessed, and she showed up wearing this. Well, I don't know what the hell she was wearing, but
a red suit.
Yeah.
A red jumpsuit.
Why didn't she wear the big red boots with it? She might as well have done it.
Those mischief boots have been going around right now?
I believe Seth Rollins wore those on Raw tonight.
Okay.
Because of course he did.
Yeah.
But let's keep it going. A lot of trades. Yes, indeed. We got worked. Bill's Mafia says. All right. big trades in the NBA this week, all over the league. This is like I don't think I've ever seen a bigger trade deadline than this.
I mean, when was the last time we had? I don't think we, in our lifetime, has a player as historically significant as Kevin Durant in their prime still been traded at the trade deadline. I don't think so.
Jason Kidd, but
Jason Kidd, Pau Gasol,
think of
in 08.
Jason Kidd, Pau Gasol, Rasheed Wallace.
Yep.
Trying to think of some others.
And those are like
Ray Allen and Gary Payton traded for each other at a trade deadline.
Okay.
In 2003.
Yeah.
Besides, I don't think anyone's on the Durant level though, that we named.
Yeah.
Because people just stopped trading superstars after a while.
Yeah, and also it's like when you
this.
trade someone of his caliber, it has to be. It's always like a thing where it's like, we want this person needs to be moved in the summer. They show up somewhere. They do the media, first day of media for the new organization, and take the pictures with whoever the other stars on the team and all that kind of stuff. This is just like wild, and chain reaction basically started from Kyrie. Kyrie is on his best behavior, thinking that if he don't show his ass, like he's shown his ass to the Nets all these different times for these 2 months while Durant's out, that he's going to that they're at the end of the year they're going to give him a max contract, and they put.
I got news for you, Kyrie. It didn't work, did it?
Right, and it's also really telling. Is like he puts in the push to ask for to get contract negotiations started. Like when he basically has to like play for 2 months without Durant. It's interesting. It's like, oh, so when Durant has to play without you, it's all good and great. But now that you actually have to, get a bit of that life, you don't like it. You want, but yeah, man. They told him, sure, let's put in his contract, and they put the simulation. And look, not everybody's max contract is the same, right? Mm-hmm. Like Embiid's in Zion's. I don't know if he signed his extension or not. But whatever,
they got all these injury provisions.
Either way, it has a bunch of injury provisions in it. Kyrie's provision was, if we will give you everything you want if we win the NBA title. And he's like, no, I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to deal with that. No player of my caliber has to deal with that sort of thing. So he's like, I want to be traded. And they were like, man, please, we'll trade you. And then
Hollow.
There's a lot of talk of, the Lakers because there were talks of him wanting to be with the Lakers during the summer. And there's some word, we don't know whether or not whether there are protection. Well, word is both of those, the 27 pick and the 29 pick of the Lakers first rounders were put on the table, but we haven't heard word back if there were protections on either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we heard that Joe Tsai told him, let the word out, is like, we don't know for sure whether it was like, we will trade him, but it will not be to Lakers, or it's like, we prefer, if all things are equal, to not trade him to the Lakers.
Thank you, Joe Tsai. I appreciate that. So
he ends up going to Dallas for Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is back in Brooklyn. And
you think he's getting his money in crypto this time?
I was going to ask you, did he start the crypto stuff in Brooklyn, or did he start that in Dallas? I feel like it was in Brooklyn.
He started in Brooklyn.
Right.
Because they let him do anything in Brooklyn.
That's right. So he's back. And, they end up getting Dorian Finney-Smith, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I think it was also another pick.
Yeah.
So I thought, for somebody that, like, you could have honestly had waived earlier in the year, you got two quality NBA players. Yeah. Right, you got two quality NBA players in a pick. Not bad. Especially because you're selling them. You're selling him low because he's damaged goods to so many people around the league. So as far as the Mavs, they looked like they were a team that made the Western Conference Finals last year, got smoked in it, and it was going to be similar to another draft counterpart like Trae Young when he was in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they got smoked, and then the next year it almost feels like one of those fake
It's like,
finalists.
you went around like further than you were supposed to.
Yeah, you're a fake. It sets up fake bad expectations, and then makes people think like you're a failure on the back end. Was like, nah, you overachieved here because you were meant to be a semifinalist, and you got here, and now people are going to look at you different, and you're setting yourself up for disaster. That's how this Mavs team is looking now. I think their ceiling is far higher, but you're not going to get me to trust in a Kyrie Irving
Trust
team
Kyrie
anymore.
Irving?
Right.
Never.
Right. So, they'll be fun to watch. At least, like, whether they melt down or they even succeed, they'll be fun to watch because it's Kyrie and it's Luka.
We sure going to get some stories.
Right. Because
whatever happens.
Right. Because I think Kyrie can play well with him, obviously, but
yeah,
I think they're going to take some. I think it'll take some time to get used to.
Cavs. Like they're trying to remake the Cavs with this.
Yeah, but like Luka, because of the size comparisons, obviously the LeBron thing, whatever else. But like Luka, the way he's up at the top, dribbling air at the ball is more like Harden, a lot more like Harden. So.
It'd be like the Rockets.
Let me phrase that. 2018 Harden, specifically 2018 Harden. So, I wonder what Kyrie's going to do because even when Harden was on the Nets and it was those three, right? Like Kyrie figured out a way to like okay, we're going to make James Harden the point guard and like I'll get the ball in a certain situation, I'll push the pace up the floor, see if we can probe early and do like he was doing certain other stuff that like I don't quite frankly, if he wasn't such a problem off the court, he'd get more credit for. But it is what it is. Like those pieces fit well together when they played. I think this will offensively fit well together when they play. I wonder if there's any struggles at the beginning, but we'll see. They've looked good so far together.
Way to quit, Kyrie. Way to quit, and end up getting traded there. What a failure for the Brooklyn Nets and this Kyrie Durant.
I wanted to save it for. Well, I guess I was going to save it after Durant, but all right, let's get to it now then.
Let's do it. Durant gets traded to the Phoenix Suns for Mikal Bridges, 4 first-round picks,
and Cam Johnson,
Jay Crowder,
yeah.
Okay. Jay Crowder just getting thrown around the league.
Yeah, Jay Crowder. Now, Jay Crowder has not played for the Suns all year. He has basically held out because Cam Johnson was going to take his starter's role. Or he's going to take a lot of his start. He may have been a ceremonial starter, and they were probably going to try and close with Cam Johnson at times because Cam Johnson is such a higher great shooter. Can put the ball down and can bang on you out of nowhere occasionally, whatever else. Just he's offensively is just lost. But yeah. So he's been sitting out the whole time, and the Nets tried to build a team. That's the reason why they brought in Dorian Finney-Smith and Dinwiddie. They were trying to keep the team together and try to convince Durant to keep it going. But as he said, like he asked for a trade request during the offseason to the Suns. As one of his teams. And then, he basically had a meeting with Josai and Marks and said, hey, not Marks' wrong name, but their GM or head of basketball operations said, hey, I want to revisit, I want out of here. Like, this team's not good enough to compete. I'm 34. Like, I want out. I asked you to take... I gave it on a shot. You saw me play. I was great when I played. I got hurt again, and then this shit has happened with me again, or with my sidekick again. It's over. I want out. They acquiesced, and then they held out until the trade deadline and said, "Hey, we want 4 picks. We want 4 picks." Like this, they got the same. They got everything they asked for during the offseason. Maybe not the inclusion of Crowder, but Crowder was getting rerouted to Milwaukee anyway. That was a throw-in. It didn't matter. So, yeah, we have that team, and, like, Durant's there, and, like, it looked like the Suns' window was just absolutely just closed shut, like, during that embarrassment in the second round last year, and, like, it's been squeaked back open for at least 1 more year. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Kevin Durant, what a culmination of a couple years. Like, talk about highs and lows.
Talk
Jesus Christ.
talk about best friends. How many of us, like, dude,
like, he left Steph Curry to go to hang out with his crazy friend Kyrie Irving. And this is how it worked out.
Yeah.
What?
That's as succinct as you can make it. Yeah.
Like, in 25 years, I want someone to look Durant in the face and be like, what were you what were you thinking? Yeah, man, obviously huge failure. Won one playoff series, ended up swept last year. Tumultuous insertions of Harden gutting the team of like future all-stars like Jared Allen and different stuff like that. And then landing Ben Simmons in the in the fallout of this. Like, you trade
away Jared Allen to get James Harden, and then your team's weakness is front court depth, and then like Jared Allen is like anchoring the best defense in the league.
I think the Nets are, shame on them for letting all this happen to them, and shame on them for condoning it. Like, it's funny because it's like, all right, I've made my stance clear on these guys that took advantage of this shit and tried to do all this shit in Brooklyn, and not liking how they handled that.
For those that don't know, if you read that, what is it? What's it called? Do I have it on me?
Matt O'Sullivan. I forgot what it's called.
Can't Out the Hustle? Was it Can't Out the Hustle?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
But like the Nets organization allowed all that shit. Like, and they were just like either desperate or Joe Tsai was like a new owner that was trying to like make an immediate splash, and it was just like they hit a lick on him, and he was dumb enough to allow all that shit to happen. Like, and when I'm talking about like the stuff that they allowed these guys to do, it was like just unprecedented. Like, please check that book out. But looking forward, obviously the Nets, let's put 2 packs up. No Shakur for the Brooklyn Nets and Steve Nash. Don't forget about him.
Well, they fired him earlier in the year,
yeah. But Durant goes to the Suns, and on paper they look like they're probably the favorite. And you look at the West now. The West has Kyrie, LeBron, Durant, Steph, Jokic, Doncic, like the Clippers. This is so star-studded in this conference now. Like, it's fun. Like, remember, like when there was like a short window where it was like, oh, okay, the West is kind of like coming down from that perch, and East is like ramping back up.
Basically 2000. Well, really, 19. It's like 2000. Let's say 2020 through last year. Yeah,
like that. I think it's gone. Like, all right, now it's just the Bucks and the Celtics, and then maybe Embiid just decides to kick everyone's ass, and then can't nobody do nothing. But and then I didn't even mention the Pelicans or the Grizzlies.
Right.
Like, this Western Conference is like somewhere else right now. As far as like the Suns, Durant gets hurt all the time at this point now.
Chris Paul gets hurt more often.
Always gets hurt. I don't know if this puts them over the top, but I feel better about their team today than I did yesterday.
I absolutely do. So Chris Paul at the start of the season looked done. Like, DUN done. Stick a fork in him. Like, this should be the year he retired.
A cone.
And then at some point coming back from injury recently, like, he looks like he looked last year throughout most seasons. So like, he's circling the drain right now. But either way, he's now the third option as far as being the person who has to score a bucket when the shot clock running down now. He's never had this level of shot creation around him in his entire career. And like,
he was always really playing with a hole in the lineup. Like,
right. He's always playing 4-on-5 or 3-on-5 on offense on like those Clippers teams. Yeah. So now he has like the big wing scorer that he's never had in his entire career in Durant. The problem is, can they stay healthy? And 2, can they find can they find a third big that can get like that can function as somebody that can guard somebody in case they like. Well, let me start that. I'm gonna start that back because like they run to the Bucks, they're done. Like that's a terrible matchup for them, right? Like
I don't think the Suns can guard a soul.
I think they can guard better than some of these. I think they can better. I think they fare better than like the Mavs or the Nuggets do defensively. Quite frankly,
Definitely better than the Mavs. The Mavs definitely can't guard a soul.
Yeah, and the Nuggets, like, you can tell me about Jokic the last 2 years and what his numbers like defensively. I just saw Embiid give him 50, and in playoff games, you can still hunt him. And the thing with hunting him is like, this is the reason why they end up getting their ass kicked in the West Conference Finals against the Lakers. Like, if you have shooting on the floor, you can hunt him, and if you can't get him off enough pick and roll and the shot clock's winding down, you can just pick Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has now rounded into shape offensively, like now of late, but like he's still the same defensive player he's always been, which is poor. So like, think of what you think of pick and roll. You think of a point guard and a big man coming up. They're weak at the point of attack, and they're weak at the at protecting the rim behind it. Like, what is like there are leaking. Like in the playoffs, they're going to get exploited. Like, so they're going to have to score a lot of points, and they will score a lot of points. But it's going to be such a hard task to try to get. If they're ever behind in the game, it's like, can they get two stops and can they get two or three stops in a row to come up? And it's like, no, there's not. So like, I have a hard time trusting them to get out the West. With this team
finally contributed something.
So with this Suns team, like, it's just like when any of these other Durant teams that he's had, like when Harden was on the Nets or when he was in Golden State, where it's like there's amazing amounts of space, there's amazing amounts of or maybe even more than definitely more than Golden State, where it's like shot creation, mid range shot creation, like and then like any mismatch with put into a pick and roll with Ayton is just it's terrible. Like, Ayton screening for any of those three with those other three on the floor, spacing the floor it puts you in a torture rack. And
also, we don't know if DeAndre Ayton really even wants to like play here. So
that's true. But like when he starts catching these lobs, he's gonna like it. He's gonna like his life a lot more of late. Like obviously, like I think the way it seems like most of his issue is like Monty Williams. But at this point now, when Kevin Durant's on the team, is like, hey man, I can tell you right now he's going to be a Monty Williams guy. I know Chris Paul's a Monty Williams guy. I know Devin Booker's a Monty Williams guy. And the person they just traded for is definitely going to be a Monty Williams guy as well. So it's going to be looking around like, okay, these are the three best players I always got the ball. Am I going to shape up or am I going to be made fun of for the rest of my career? Because I'm the reason why moping around made this a failure. So it's going to be on him.
Tough.
And he's young. He's still young. He's what? Is he even 24?
I think he's 24, I think.
Yeah. So, we saw we've seen so much from him, in 2021 and even 2022 up until the playoffs, that particular round. So like, I'm not ready just to write him off. But we'll see how this goes. But I think offensively, they're just going to be lights out while they're healthy. Like I said, while they're healthy. I still probably just based off of the health and the age stuff, I still think the Bucks or the Celtics to win. Whoever wins the Eastern Conference is going to win. It'd be my pick. And I probably go with the Celtics because like I don't like this Chris Middleton stuff is going on right now where he's in and out the lineup and stuff.
Something's like
if Middleton just plays last in that series, they win. But it's been a year now. Or, that was last season, and he's still in and out the lineup, and not, himself again. So, I think the Celtics right now. I think I'll have to go with the Celtics as my favorite right now. What are you thinking on it?
Favorite to win the title. I guess until the Warriors are dead and gone, someone's got to show me with those guys. Like, by the time, it gets to the playoffs, I feel like they'll probably be where they need to be. But I trust Steph.
Funny? You know what's funny?
I just think people are. I think they're playing possum. And I hate this. And normally, like, I wouldn't like if they end up like a 6, 7, or 8 seed. It's hard to really take them serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if there was one team I would believe in, it would be them from that portion, because they're not going to lose to the Grizzlies. Like, that's not going to happen.
I like will say this. Like, they've had as much injury as any of these other old teams. But the thing is with them over the years is outside of 2019 and 2020, right? Outside of those 2 years, I clustered on them back to back. They've had injuries at like fortunate times where like someone was going to miss like 6 weeks or a month, and like they get hurt, and then they come and they'll be ready by the playoffs. They've been obviously outside of 2 years that clustered on them back to back. Like they've been kind of lucky, and like Steph got hurt, and like Steph, like you hear like. It's not anything you need to be worried about structurally, but it's very painful. So he's out, and it's like, okay, so he'll be back. And when he's back, you already know you're finna get, right? It's been Steph Curry, what Steph Curry is brought to you outside of some couple weird games in the playoffs, here and there. But you know you're finna get out of him 5 or 4 times out of a series. So yeah,
somebody gonna have to eliminate them boys for me.
I am concerned though about like where they end up in the standings. If they, I think it's really tough if they're a 5 seed. If they're a 4 seed, I'm like, okay, I think they still do that, but I think the 4 seed is a real tough ask. And Nuggets are and like the standings are so bunched together right now in the West. So you can fuck around and be 8 seed real quick or 7 seed real quick. Like because remember the thing how bad the Suns were playing, and we were like, yo, they're done, and like they're the last I checked, they were the 3 seed.
Yeah,
and they're about to get Kevin Durant after the break. So.
Look, no matter which way this breaks, like we could end up with like just all time just nasty matchups, like all across this this Western
Suns,
Conference.
Mavs.
Look, Suns, Mavs, Suns, Lakers. If the Lakers like round in the shade, which we'll talk about. Suns, Warriors. Like it could all get nasty in there. It's like a little mix of all these teams. And then you add in the Grizzlies. Then you add in the Pelicans, who don't like nobody.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Can we fast forward?
At least with the Pelicans, they don't talk shit like a lot of these other West Coast teams, though.
True.
Like, I was talking to you in a different thread about, like, do y'all remember in 2014 when, like, before the Warriors ever won a title, when, like, everybody in the West Conference hated the Warriors, the Rockets, and the Clippers, because all 3 of them teams talk shit, but they hadn't won anything at that point. And I'm like, well, you got these go to 2013 or 2023. You got the Suns, you got the Grizzlies, and who am I blanking on right now? There's another team that people. Oh, Timberwolves, right? And it's like we're back. We're back to just these Western Conference teams, and they don't like each other, and they all yap at each other. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how to have 3 basically villainous type of teams. Like maybe I think now at this point with the Durant stuff, now like people still may like him, but they're not really cheering for him. So like he's still like even him on there like with Chris Paul and
bro,
Devin
how much
Booker
talent
talking that
has
shit.
Durant played with? My God, he's played with more Hall of Famers than Bill Russell at this point. Like, oh fuck.
So okay, let's do this right. I think that Devin Booker has displayed enough talent and has shown enough in playoff games over the last 2 years to kind of feel like that is a Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving level talent, and like if he can stay healthy enough, he will be a Hall of Famer. Is that unfair to say?
I feel like he will be.
Okay, so you got him, you got Chris Paul, Draymond isn't a Hall of Famer, he's going to get in. Andre Iguodala is not a Hall of Famer, he's going to get in. Klay Thompson is a Hall of Famer. Steph's a Hall of Famer. Westbrook's a Hall of Famer. Harden's a Hall of Famer. It is a lot of people. Like, it is a lot of people. Like, think about what I said. Like, you think of the offensive like juggernauts he's been the best player on and a part of, right? Like that Warriors run, that little, when they beat the Celtics ass in 2021. Like, that was like, yo, this is cancel Christmas with Harden and Kyrie and Durant. And then now this team is also going to be they're going to be so hard to guard, right? Because the Suns already run like all the pretty stuff that you love to see, like run shit like just beautiful offense, and and you're adding him to it, like they're going to be so hard to guard. But yeah, you're right. He has played with a lot of really good a lot of great players. He has, and it's like I don't knock him for it. But what I will say is like I hope that like whatever he's looking for validation from people because they said his rings don't count.
He ain't never gonna get it. Like In Vogue, he's never gonna get it.
Look,
them diamonds cloudy.
I think
shipped up.
Okay, if the Suns win a title, I'm not gonna say until the Suns are gonna win a title because they're not my favorite, right? But in my mind, imagine what it looks like. He's gonna be spectacular to have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if the Suns win the final, he's definitely the Finals MVP. And that team is not, and that's some team like he's a missing piece, right? Like he's like they were done. Their window was closed, shut forever when they lost to the Mavs second round after Chris Paul got worn down in that first round, like just done. And he opened it back up and potentially wins a title. Like he will get more credit for this title than he ever did, knocking that shot in LeBron's eye, which is like just so dumb. But whatever. So let's move on to your team, the Lakers. They moved out I'm gonna say Chris Paul. They moved out Russell Westbrook in a 3-team trade that netted them Jared Carpenter and D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. I'm sorry. And you also gave up the 27 pick, not 29, right? 27 pick?
27 pick.
The 27 first round pick the Lakers had.
Traded Pat Bev for Mo Bamba.
That's right. And then, a couple weeks ago, you traded for Rui Hachimura.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, your team is has 8 NBA players, like NBA quality players now, as opposed to like these middle looking players. So like the team is going to be a lot better. I think they might just be in a big hole, and like who knows when another injury strikes.
Yeah, you got to worry about injuries. You got to worry about gelling. You got to worry about how much does LeBron really have to give to the second half of the season now that the record is out the way. He hasn't played a game or a minute since the record was broken.
Yeah, he got injured. Like he was doing something with his foot at the end of that game, and I thought like, okay, well, we've seen him, mess up an ankle or whatever else and tie his shoe back up and go back out there and play, and then like. He's not missed 3 games since then. It's like, should we be concerned?
Right. Then you got Anthony Davis, who you can. This is my I trust Anthony Davis. Yeah, this is my I trust Anthony Davis phase. So, I don't like the way Russ was treated pretty much his whole tenure, and he's been traded to the Jazz, and then
has he been bought out yet?
Presumably he's a buyout, like waiting to happen. So
everyone is basically reported like he will not play for them.
Yeah. So I didn't like the way Russ got treated. I guess I am happy for him in one sense, so he doesn't have to be a scapegoat anymore. Whatever happens to this team will happen to this team on its own merits from this point forward. And the moves that they made, they're cool. I just don't think it's enough. Like to
win.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I don't think
can't be enough. It's like like people were wanting us to gut the team just for the sake of LeBron having this birthright to have like this stacked up team. Like it doesn't work that way. It's like dudes get old. Like he's scoring all these points. He doesn't have the same effect on the game that he once did.
Right.
It's okay. Like this is what's supposed to happen. He's in his 20th year. Like and. Looking at Anthony Davis.
Hold on, before we move on. And it's self-inflicted by LeBron by insisting upon that Russell Westbrook trade that everyone knew was going to be bad before as it was happening in real time. This is second guessing. We're like, yo, Westbrook is cooked as far as winning at a top level. Why are you bringing him into your team? And he's been on this.
So that's why I never wanted to like get on Russ for that. It was like, yo, Russ knows what he is at this point.
Right.
Like, why is he here? We need to look at that.
Yeah, like.
And Russ like played hard every fucking night, like when he could have just laid it down. Like, and then when they were telling me he's come off the bench, he was like, "Yes, coach, I'll work as hard for you as I can."
Well,
and it was just
for Darvin Ham, he did not do none of that shit for Frank Vogel. And
I guess, but
no, it was a thing. He was like, do you remember when Carmelo was asked that one year when, like, right before he was about to become a bench player, he was like, "Well, I come off the bench." He's like, "You want me to come off the bench?" Like, Westbrook was getting questions about him coming off the bench, potentially be a 6-man, and he was not having it. He just wasn't. He was like not entertaining the idea that, like, he couldn't fathom the idea that, like, he's not a starter in this league. And it's like, I mean, that's part of what makes him him, but also, like, brother, like, you're like, we're now starting to look at like these small teams that need some type of someone that can sell tickets at this point. Like, as far as you and being on like a playoff team and contributing to it, those days are over.
Yeah, but Russ gets to go on. And I don't know, it's just not enough. Like, it's like, all right, D'Angelo Russell's back. I want to cheer for D'Angelo Russell. No.
So is it from the whole, like, the scandal thing when he was there, or is it just like he's just a bad watch to watch on a night-to-night basis? Because he is a bad watch to watch on a night-to-night basis.
I don't think he's a winning player.
He's not.
And then
he's not. He can knock down shots that
he's
Westbrook
playing
wants.
minutes in the league. That's what it is. And when you play enough minutes, you have to score when you're out there. Like, that's what he's doing.
Like, he's not a winning player. Like, I think he's not a winning player the same way that, or not in different ways than Westbrook. But the thing that he could do is he can be on the floor and knock down shots in a way to where, like, you get the ball to Westbrook with under 5 minutes, he could just lose you a game. By having a ball just skate out of his hand, just slide out of his hands, or he dribbles into a weird spot on the floor and just, yeah, it's like, so it's a different type of unwinning player. I think it's more stomachable when it's D'Angelo than when it's Westbrook at this point. It could just be a situation where, like, when you go cycle through bad quarterbacks, it's like the only thing that matters on the back of that jersey is not the person that we got sick and tired of and fed up with. So I think it might just be as much as swapping that kind of stuff out. And they better not extend him. And
they were talking about it, I heard, but I hope not.
No, he's a losing player. He's young. He's a young losing player, which is even worse because I don't think there's nothing to. He's been in the league long enough to where like that's just him.
And then expecting all these people to come in and all these guys have these skills or whatever. Like, oh yeah, they've shot this percentage from 3. Da 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 da. It's like, all right, what happens when you get in that LeBron offense though? When it's like bailout 3 time, like, and then you just you go booty, you just go cold, like. So I don't feel like we're gonna see those people's like true abilities like in the way this offense is set up, and they're just too far in the hole for me. Like, this is looking like getting up to the 7th seed in the best case scenario and then getting smacked in round 1.
Yeah, I was shocked when they beat the Warriors without. I know they didn't have Steph, but I was still shocked that they won over the weekend on Saturday. I couldn't believe they won. Mm-hmm. And like it was also because like I think AD only had like 13 points in that game. Played terribly. Yeah. I was like, how the fuck did they win?
He had a bunch of rebounds, I think. But I don't know. Russ was the one guy I liked on the team, but
at least Pat Bev's gone.
Oh yeah, I can celebrate that. Yes, actually, we got. I guess I gotta run it for the stream here. We got a new player. I can't wait to hear this chant ringing off in Staples.
He's playing Mo Bamba. Oh my god.
I'll cut it off now, but
so I heard, or last I checked, like
Austin Rivers got him out the city.
No, I don't have the words on the streets of Orlando, even though I got people in Orlando. But last I checked, there may have been some potential buyout, Pat Bev buyout in Orlando. Talk.
He was bought out officially.
Okay, so he's bought out. Is he going to return to the Timberwolves?
I think that's what they said. The Timberwolves are interested.
Of course. And once he shows up, I already sent you the meme that's on hand when it happens. Like when he went out there and he acted as if he won the fucking title because the Timberwolves got into the playoffs, and then he fucking cried. Like that is the meme that everyone's going to go to once that becomes official, and we're all going to had the same jokes. We all gonna laugh at him the same way because he's the same person he's always been, and like
I can't be happier. I can't be happier than to get that bum off our team. Jesus Christ.
If he's on the Timberwolves, I can't be I'm happy that he's there because, like, it gives you reason not to root for the Timberwolves again. It's like, dude, like, I don't like Karl Anthony Towns. I don't like watching him play. I don't have a problem with him personally. It's just, I don't like his game. And then, like, you know, I've always hated the Gobert shit. And then, like, D'Angelo Russell was a hard watch for me. Like, and I thought, like, maybe they get a little bit better now that he's gone. But it's like, oh, now they're adding Pat Bev. Also, it's based, like, very similar to, it's like, less likable than last year's team that wasn't that likable outside of Anthony Edwards. And it's like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, that Gobert trade, man.
Oh, yeah. It was bad. I mean, look. Remember, Rich, when we talked about it, I was like, yo, this is a disaster. Why would you do this?
I don't think I realized how bad it could go just because, like, what Utah ended up getting, like, it ended up working out. Like, Walker Kessler ended up turning into an NBA guy, and then also, like, all the fucking capital they gave up, and then figuring out, oh, Danny Ainge is basically doing a Sam Presti's job over here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and y'all aided in this. Oh.
So you watched that? You watched the LeBron game when he broke the record?
I tuned in the middle of the third quarter and caught it. Yeah.
What do you think of what you saw out of the Young Thunder? Even without Buddy from Gonzaga.
Yes, I had actually been fortunate to catch a Thunder League Pass game earlier this year, and I thought they had something. Like, and the
all
thing
the damn
is,
Williams is confusing as a first watch, but
yeah,
like.
They've got a lot of tall guys that they're just like, yo, we're going to be very tall. We're going to be young. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, he can do what he wants, like, essentially. Like, as far as just, like, kind of hoppy, he's got an awkward, herky-jerky kind of game. Like, but he can get to the rim at will.
He has an awkward, herky-jerky game, and I'm going to say it. Next time he gets to the playoffs, people are going to hate him.
Mm-hmm.
He does the foul hunting shit, but people don't recognize it as foul hunting shit. But once he gets to the playoffs and you see him get to the line 15 goddamn times, you're going to be sick to death of him. Like you, all the stuff you mentioned, herky jerky, play slow pace, you can't speed him up. That's absolutely all true, and he is a great player. But he also does the foul hunting shit that so many people have hated other players for doing. But he hasn't gotten that kind of hate yet because he's on this team under the radar. But once he gets to the playoffs, it's going to be similar to when Trey got to the playoffs. People are going to hate. People are going to turn on him. So, like, look, another person that was out there with the Misha boots on recently.
Yeah, but I think they're a rising team that is probably like 2 years away from being able to. Like probably like comfortably compete for a playoff spot. They'll have Chet in at that time, and they're loaded with fucking picks.
Well, Williams is in picks. Yep.
Yes, I really lots of hope.
I like two of the Williams a lot from what I saw. They play hard like a good young team should. And I that's my first time ever. That's my second time ever seeing Giddey. I see why people like Giddey so much. So they're. That's another team that I mean, obviously they're behind the tracking of like a Pelicans or a Grizzlies, but like, or Timberwolves, but like 2 years.
Like when it's time to like replace the Warriors and shit like that, like the Thunder are going to step like right in.
Yep. All they need is one of these dudes to pop, and like, hell, they maybe not pop to be an all-star, but like it feels like with the talent level of talent and how hard they're trying, like I could easily see two or three of them dudes like actually like becoming like top 50 NBA players. I could see that easily.
They're probably going to end up in that situation where they have too much talent and they're going to have to trade somebody. But
that's possible. But I mean, that's
a good problem.
That's the risk they're willing to run. The only problem is the last time they're in that situation, they traded James fucking Harden away when they could have just paid the luxury tax.
$5 million, James. $5 million. We'll never know.
Oh my God. Bro.
We'll never know.
How many, you remember the Bill Simmons what if section of the Book of Basketball?
Yes.
How many is James Harden in now if he updated it?
Jesus Christ. Okay.
If he never gets traded from OKC, right?
What if Chris Paul's hamstring doesn't explode?
If his hamstring doesn't explode in Game 5 of the West Conference Finals 2018, if Kyrie Irving isn't such a joy sucker that Harden immediately sniffs it and says, "I'm out." That's 3 right there. And they're all high-ranking ones.
You can probably go in his own draft. Like, what if they drafted Steph Curry instead and he went somewhere else to begin?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, obviously, people can do the retrospective thing of those two being the two best players in that draft. Like, Blake Griffin was going first in that draft regardless. But, because, Steph went too far down for everyone, even no one thought this, obviously, but everybody that saw him at Davidson them 2 years were like, oh yeah, this dude is a top 5 pick. And he went 7th or 8th. Yeah,
I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll show you.
She sure has. Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, since we've basically gone through the West Conference and all that kind of stuff, I guess let's get to LeBron breaking that record. Like, he's now the scoring king. When you first started watching LeBron, do you think this was possible?
No, just because you don't think anyone can break Kareem's record. It wasn't even necessarily about LeBron. It was like, no one's scoring that many fucking points. No one's
gonna make 17, 18 all-star games, and no one's gonna put up 38,000 points. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just because I remember
I used to do this. I used to track Kobe. I was tracking Kobe's career the whole time, and if you can avoid a major injury, and then he tore his fucking Achilles, and it was that
hurt him a lot. But I remember when LeBron was coming in the league, Karl Malone was exiting the league, and I was thinking about how much Karl Malone stayed in shape, how much he never missed games, and then he was still short. And I was like, oh, this shit's never happening. And then he ended up as number 2 before.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when did it first dawn on you? Because I'm trying to go back in my mind and trying to think of when it first dawned on me. Oh yeah, he's definitely going to do this. Not he might do it, but unless he loses a leg, he's going to do this. I think it might have been by the time he first became a Laker, maybe even before then. Maybe his last Cavs year. I was like, he's going to do this.
I think it was when he became a Laker. For me, just because, all right, you would have figured, if someone's in their 20th year, they might be laying it down at this point. Mm-hmm. We still don't know when he's going to lay it down. He's talking he wants to play 2 and 3 more years at least.
Yeah, because all I talk about is about wanting to play with Bronny, and it's well, buddy, I know they're about to go back to the 8 out of high school thing, but your son is the 30th best player in this class. You know what that means? That means he is a 2 to 3 year player in college basketball before he's going to go, unless something dramatically changes when he gets to college. So
we already know what type of foolery is about to happen. That man about to sign with Clutch Sports.
Rich, here's the thing to think about, right?
Tomfoolery is about to happen.
I don't know if you've been noticing this as far as all these trades at this trade deadline. Do you see the number of all these people getting traded for 2nd round picks?
Bro.
All these 5 second rounders.
Comedy. Bro, I've never seen no shit like this with these 2nd rounders.
Rich, we all know historically how insignificant a second rounders are. What are the odds these people are saying, hey, 2-3 years, let's go ahead and get Bronny with the 45th pick in the fucking draft, and we can get the last year of LeBron James. I think disgusting. I do not think that's out of the realm of possibility. Some team that feels like they are by the time he gets LeBron will probably be it'll look like 96 Magic or whatever else. But he'll still be a valuable player if you can get him on a team that has players that are better than him, right? I think there's gonna be people that be like,
LeBron got to go home, man.
I think there'll be people that be like, let's try to do this. I think people manipulating like this because think of how many people manipulate over the years to try to manipulate, try to maneuver to try to get in a position to acquire his service at different points, right? The Lakers, the Cavs, the Miami, the Clippers, the Knicks, but that was years ago. But my point, there's always teams that are trying to convince themselves that LeBron will show up to them, and the only thing LeBron is going to go there because he wants to go there, not because of anything you're doing. So yeah, I feel like I saw them second round picks getting moved in abundance. And I'm like, why the fuck you want these second round picks? They mean nothing in this league.
Bro,
they only matter when one person pops.
They were trading niggas for hope out here, literally. Yeah.
Does it feel like these second round picks are for actual valuable players, basically almost like cash dumps?
All right, I was gonna say, remember when they used to trade niggas for $500,000? This feels the same way.
Right. But yeah,
a bunch of nastiness that is set to happen over the next couple years. Well, LeBron got the record. Congratulations to him.
Yeah. For those that maybe have not read it, I would suggest going to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Twitter. I think he has it pinned, and he wrote on the Substack about his thoughts on LeBron winning it, and I thought that it was great, and the section he gets to when he talks about why records are meant to be broken and why they're inspirational and what they mean to bring us together as a people, as far as you watch our best athletes strive and do this and they achieve something that makes you think this is what human capacity for all of us is. If you achieve if you try for it. And I thought it was goosebumps level shit. It was someone needs to sample some of this stuff and put it in a babyface promo. It was just amazing.
Or they can give that to these old timers that get upset when niggas start having 6-star matches, 7-star matches and shit. Human achievement, being going to another level.
That's a great point. I didn't think of that, but yeah. I thought Kareem was as giving a magnanimous or put over LeBron as much as you possibly can for someone to break your record. And he's the way he said is look, won the lotto. I won millions of dollars at one point, and 40 years later, someone else has won $1 million. His millions don't affect mine. I already did it. And then I think the way he addressed the Magic thing, saying look, Magic knows me very well, and at a certain point, if someone had broke this thing 10 years after I did, I would have been pissed. But my life, I'm a totally different person. I'm a grandfather. I'm a homebody. And talked about the relationship thing with LeBron. It was weird at the beginning of the year when LeBron does the no thoughts, no relationship, which was a great meme. But talked about I don't fathom. This is all my fault because I don't fathom why someone his age would want to hang out with someone that's over twice his age. Right? What can I really teach him except for, whatever. But this is all my fault. So I don't hold it against LeBron. And I thought the things he said about LeBron, I really liked it. I thought it was really great. And for somebody that for so much of his career was given the prick label, I thought it was just, I liked seeing that. I want to see that from Oscar Robertson at some point. But then again, he'll just say just get up on Steph Curry. He won't be so great.
Get up on him.
Diabolical hater. He got to do something to change that before he go, man. You got to think we just lost Bill Russell. Kareem and Jerry West. You know, Wilt's already gone. There's only the 60 stars.
Yeah.
It's so I hope to see more.
Frazier
some
is around.
Yeah, I hope to see the 60, 70 stars. Kind of get some spotlight. Obviously the 75 anniversary stuff we excited last year, but I want to see more of the stuff because that was the thing with seeing Bill Russell all the time, and then the one year I saw him last year, and it's wow, he has a cane now. I was like, this can't be good, and now he's no longer with us. But it was always the legends. I love seeing the old time legends and see them talk about the game and what the thoughts of are the young players, especially when it's positive, because that just I really enjoy it. That's why I love Jerry West so much. He's so positive about the new players. About the current day players, always. So yeah, shout out to Kareem.
Yep. So I guess we should move over to pro wrestling. So yeah, man, I missed a lot in my time off. So I missed the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
I ended up watching the probably from the 20. Somewhere in the 20s on, I watched it and saw that. I thought the ending that they did was really good.
Yeah. It was fun at the beginning. Like if you ever, sometimes you might run a Rumble because you like to watch some fucking random 90s Raws or whatever else. So like if you ever throw up that Rumble, you will enjoy the beginning of it when they start out with Sheamus and Walter, and then all of a sudden at 3 comes out Miz, and they just basically take turns beating the piss out of him, and then they go from there. Like it's solid, and then like there's like a run where you get like Karrion Kross and a few other people that kind of like undesirables. But like that's the dead point. And then after that, like around once you get to like after that, like it picks back up, and like it picks up a little bit before you tuned in. So it is a good. I think it's one of the better Rumbles that's ever happened.
So Cody won it, and well, I guess we'll just move on to our next topic with Cody here. So he was doing an interview with Ariel Helwani today. This news broke recently, so he was basically asked about CM Punk and the Elite and Brawl Out, and basically what he said was like, he was like, he has a great relationship with Matt, Nick, and Kenny, still does. It was tested by being young executives. It was tested by having different opinions on wrestling, but different opinions is what made it strong. That's what made us work. He wants to do Crockett and Old School. They want to do PWG and West Coast, and damn, I loved it. I like that. He said that tension is what made us bond. We're bonded forever because of the things we did. He said, I also had a great relationship with Punk. He was my dinner buddy. They'd order dinner for me in AEW as part of my management perks or whatever. I don't think he knew, but I always just put it on my tab because I wanted to make sure he was getting something. So we didn't talk a lot, but I had a great relationship with him. We still chat, and I was so excited to have him back. If you remember, when he came back, everyone was excited. So when he watched it from just sitting there, he was not, but there were people that were texting him. He said, I remember one person texted me, man, you're the smartest guy in the room. And I wanted to write back like, F you, man. I don't feel that way. I feel this thing we built got damaged. He said, I'm not blaming anybody. Sorry, I'm super Switzerland at this point. I'm not putting blame on anybody, but I just hated seeing that because as the company grows, and I hope it continues to grow, I hope people will remember the mission in the first place, why we were there. And if you bring in people that don't know the mission, things like that can happen. I'm not saying Punk did. He said, I'm not saying Punk didn't know the mission or anything of that nature, but I was just bummed out. Sure, you're not, Cody. But I think Cody spoke for a lot of folks. He went on further, like he was proud to, create a lot of jobs in wrestling. There's not as many jobs in wrestling as people think. Kenny kind of gave like kind of an answer kind of like that when I was talking to him as well, as far as like, I had asked him, was being an EVP still fulfilling for him? And he gave a pretty thoughtful answer there. So like they seem to like really be, big on this creating jobs in wrestling and basically helping people get money essentially out here.
I think in more detail, more specifically, like Cody mentioned, like 1,000 people that are hired for the AEW stuff during this thing you're mentioning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And
I saw it earlier.
He was saying no heat on Punk, no heat on Matt, Nick, Kenny, or Tony. I was just bummed out when I saw it. That's how we envisioned it. If you were at All In, the spirit of All In, if you ever lose that spirit, you're lost. And I think the spirit was gone in that moment. Doesn't mean you can't get it back, but it was just a bummer. I watched this thing and I was like, I can't disagree with anything he said. Was there a element of Cody reading the room and seeing which way the wind's blowing on this and then positioning himself to be with that wind? I think that's definitely there, especially, as he's headed towards WrestleMania, needing all the goodwill he can. You could afford to, say it without saying it, which is what I think he said when he says the thing about, if you bring people in that don't know the mission, things like that can happen. Because this is a lot of stuff I've like talked about with AEW and the fallout of this whole thing from there, like where it's just like the spirit of the company. This goes back to Hangman in Punk, like that whole thing, like, and how it was just such a weird feud, and it was like it felt like it was selling out to capitalism and all this stuff. It was just like there's something that, when you lose that, it's going to be kind of hard to watch this company the same way, because like this thing, it was built a certain way, and there's obviously going to be a day where that is gone. These guys are retired or something like that. And if this thing, just keeps going on and on. But I think there's a difference from like, guys choosing to step away on their own, retirements, going after, other opportunities in wrestling on their own accord, rather than like something like this leading to the excommunication of somebody. And I can't disagree with what Cody was saying at all here.
Not only do I not disagree with what he said, it makes me think of like the beginning of like, after that press conference, after All Out, it was All Out, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like in the first, like, as the stuff was coming out about the fight and all that kind of stuff, and, they get the TV and everyone's been stripped of their titles. And I remember like Josh was saying like, yo, this is damaging. And I remembered it and I was like, I didn't know if I necessarily agreed with it, but I definitely saw where he was coming from when he said it. Like, what Cody said is basically like a more fleshed out expression of how damaging it was, as opposed to Josh, like, kind of saying like what this could be, and ultimately kind of feels like it, like Josh is right. Like, that basically was like the moment that the honeymoon was over with AEW. Looking back at it in retrospect, like, the benefit of the doubt and people loving this thing and even championing it or whatever else, like, that's kind of out the window now. And even though they're on like one of their best runs of match quality or whatever else since the year started, it doesn't feel like earlier iterations of AEW as far as that, I guess, for lack of a better word, that magic. I know it sounds so corny, but like, it just felt like this is new and exciting, and you were watching, and there were new guys, and maybe I've never seen them from, maybe heard the names, whatever else, but like, they were all fighting for spots, and it seemed like the chips were going to fall where they were, and then the CM Punk thing happens, and it's like, oh, it's just another wrestling company. It's one of the most competent wrestling companies I've ever seen, but it's just another wrestling company. And like, it was going to happen eventually, but it stinks that like this was, looking back at it, like this was the line that's saying like that honeymoon period is over. And it does stink. And like, now seeing like some of the guys that, have been valuable on TV or like away because of different reasons, or they were trying to go back to WWE's, like, you now are thinking of that stuff in the politics at play while watching, as opposed to just being able to watch it and being like, anyone could possibly win because like nobody's out here like really just wants to have the best match or the best program, as opposed to like trying to, position themselves to, move themselves up the corporate ladder, if you will, for 3 years down the line or 2 years down the line, or whenever their contract runs out, so they can renegotiate. And like, I think it's also another thing that's hanging over their head, like a sort of damn please, like the MJF shit. Like, I don't even think, like, when I put all this together talking just now, I don't even think about the MJF thing. And then like, I saw your eyes go up and like, you're talking, like, that look to me was like, you're thinking of MJF. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm thinking about the Elite. And knowing who's in added time right now. Kenny Omega's in added time on his contract right now. The Young Bucks are set to be re-signed. And I think if, either one of those guys when they're negotiating their contracts, I'm sure they're going to want to answer on, okay, what's happening with Punk? Are you bringing him back? And then whatever way that goes is like,
do you think they would really jump just to be like, I know he's not coming over here?
Like,
that would be hilarious.
I take nothing off the table, like, as far as them jumping at this point, because like, in a couple months, Dave was talking about it. He's gonna have to make a decision. I feel like he was speaking in coded language by saying, "All right, if you bring CM Punk back, that's gonna be like pretty much telling the Elite, like, yo, like, either you can get down or lay down from this point." And it's like, I don't know why you would want to do that, but if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But a lot of you can look at a lot of the presentation for the Elite, like they don't ever get to talk anymore. They don't ever get to really talk about their mission statement, what they're trying to accomplish, or anything. Like, Kenny's lost a championship, never has talked about it, addressed it, anything like that. It's been months and months and months at this point. You can see how New Japan Pro Wrestling was using them, and it felt like this once in a lifetime guy. And then you got him on Dynamite, and it's ho hum. Trios matches are good.
To be fair, I feel like that's kind of I don't agree with the people that say that AEW does not have stories. But what I will say is it feels like of late, and maybe it's unfair because I did not watch the first 3 episodes of the year, but I have watched the last 2 or 3. It feels like the only person that gets on the mic and talks is MJF. And to a lesser extent, Joe. But Joe's stuff is really short and succinct and to the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like many people are getting mic time to get their stories or their character over or their motivations at the time over right now. And I kind of feel like the matches are great, but you might need
they're on an all-time match quality run right now.
Starks too. That's unfair. I would say Starks as well. But I feel like they need to kind of give people more opportunity to get over what they're getting over a little bit more. Because AEW, it feels like they've done less mic time than before in this recent run. Maybe I'm just tripping, but it feels that way. So I see why people say there's no stories. They're wrong as hell, but I think that's the reason why they feel that way.
So let's go to some of the stuff in the chat. We've got a lot of people kind of weighing in here. We'll start with Zekmaki. He said, Rich James, do you put any blame on Hangman with a few points? Is he blameless in this though?
He's not blameless, but the inside
he's far more low stakes.
Yeah, he started with the inciting incident, but it never should have gotten to this point. And everything after that point is really Punk's fault. If he had just left it the fuck alone after he did the call him out and he knows he's not going to come out for the segment and left it at that, it's fine. But once you go to the press conference and do that, it's look at the damage.
Yeah.
Like the Chris Brown song, look at the damage.
I once said, it was you hit somebody with an open hand slap and they ran you over with a Mack truck in response. It's uneven.
It was so outside.
It's outside.
The response was so outside, yeah.
So Keen was saying he agrees with James here. Brawl Out was the first time the AEW cloak was fully exposed after the honeymoon period was over, and at the same time WWE went through a hard change for the better business wise. Crystal Fisher said Punk wrecked so much is genuinely sad, and there's potential that it costs the Elite. Keen to see what you ask Kenny Rich. Yeah, definitely look out for that. Keen also says I love Punk and I'm a fan, but the fact people won't even allow valid criticism against him to be put on the table is frightening.
Yeah, it's weird. But that's
kind of been
fandom.
That's kind of been CM Punk's the fanhood behind CM Punk for years and years. Regardless, I thought he was in the right with a lot of the stuff with WWE, but you can listen to that Colt Cabana interview, and I think there are things you can look at and be like, yo, WWE failed him, on all this stuff. But a lot of some of that stuff was self-induced. And I don't think people, all that, what would Harley Race do shit, that's him believing in that macho bullshit, that really, that could end someone's life, essentially. We've seen a lot of people in wrestling just run themselves to the ground, trying to keep up with how it was always done, whether it was through drugs, whether it was through, just being up late at night. And we were talking
about that back then. I see why he felt that way, because he was put in that environment that leans on people in that way. Except for, Randy Orton and seemingly John Cena at the time. So, I see why he felt the way, but you also got to be smart enough to be look, I'm kind of a made person here. I don't have to put the pedal to the metal and end up, white knuckling the way that he did. Mm-hmm. And, I get, but it happens to so many people there that, this ain't a him thing, it's everybody, but it's y'all gotta realize that y'all don't have to do this yourself. And I think it's a broad part of it at the time. It's the only big major place to do it at now. But yeah, like, I mean, you know, like that's the story with Moxley. Like, you go through that Mox book and it's like, it's the same thing. Like, he's ran up the wall. And I said, recently, like, there are ways to handle this as far as like the burnout factor with WWE and going to AEW is like, you could be John Moxley or you could be in CM Punk. And we'll see after a certain amount of time where you lie on this. Like, do you legitimately just want to like do good wrestling and not be in stupid storylines or whatever else, or feel like you're put through all these have to jump through all these unnecessary hoops because they're so uptight there and with all the politics and all that kind of stuff maneuvering backstage and on screen? Or do you just want to like do good wrestling, or do you actually like want to like play the game of Succession and climb the road to the top, and you feel like this is an easier mountain to climb over here? Because like they're gonna step that shit out pretty fast that you're out for yourself at AEW, because they have experience with people that have done this, like the Punk thing just recently is the most notable example. So over the years there'll be more and more people like getting exposed as like over time, or there'll be people that would be actually like be valuable additions and they'll just love their time in AEW and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how this goes. Like, you can say right now, Bryan Danielson, not like CM Punk at all. Claudio, not like CM Punk at all.
Chris Jericho, John Moxley, not like CM Punk.
Right. And that was the thing when Moxley left. Remember, it was like, he's going to be miserable because he's miserable everywhere he goes. And no, this is the happiest we've ever seen John Moxley.
Chemo said, to be fair, like the subject in the comments was like the Elite really haven't been given much. They're like the C or D thing. He said, to be fair, they're given a licensed theme, and the trios title back is overtures, but that don't mean it'll be enough. They definitely need a hot program soon.
Yeah.
Crystal Fisher says the thing with Punk is he's based on his the thing with Punk is based on his mid-40s Midwest housewife passive Instagram stories. Yeah, those things are getting interesting, to say the least. And he has no interest in apologizing. What's the point? I think they were saying, if Punk comes back, he's got to apologize the way he disrespect the company. MJ does PR was good. Seamus Nova says, I don't think the Elite and Hangman are blameless in all of this, but next to Punk's blow up, Punk's public blow up next to the owner of the company put this at a whole different level.
Yep.
Crystal Fisher says, some will tell you that Hangman's first shot was actually a response to numerous prior private shots by Punk backstage, Colt being replaced by Ace. I just don't feel comfortable like operating off that premise, because I mean that fully could be, but like it's just not, like, we don't have that information.
Right. Like anything with the Colt Cabana stuff, I don't care, because that shit was off screen. Adam Page brought that shit on screen. That's always gonna be on him, regardless of where CM Punk took it from there on. Like, if when I say that Adam Page is not blameless, that's what I mean. We never know where it leads to as far as in behind stage, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck, because I'm watching a TV thing. I don't care about like the actors or in this case the performers not liking each other. I don't give a shit. But once he did that started this, and then Punk just took it way too fucking far.
Yeah, like the only thing that I can really say that's like confirmed is like some like they had some backstage meeting with them that was either after the Double or Nothing promo and before the CM Punk response, that it was like, all right, why are you going back? Because I thought there was like a squash it meeting backstage with Hangman and Punk, but let's see.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you hope that like people can butt heads and then eventually can let stuff go, right? Like, any of y'all that's ever played sports, high school level, there's always a fight or fights, and everybody gets broken up, and you got to go back to playing. You got to go back to practicing, right? And like whoever lost or whatever else, like, you gotta get over that shit eventually. Like, maybe people will bring it up, in passing, or people will bring it up because there's always gonna be a winner or a loser, or if it's a stalemate. Either way, like, someone will get laughed at about whatever else. But like, over time, you gotta get over that shit and move on. If you keep holding on to that shit, then like, that's a you thing. That's not a Like, that's the game. Like, people are gonna, it's competitive business, people are gonna butt heads, but you hope, but the idea is that, like, that's not supposed to last forever, or you're not supposed to be mad enough to come back months after, or come back from an injury to come and shoot on a motherfucker, you know, in their home area. Like, that's what Punk did. And that's like, yo, that's really, that shit was unprofessional. And that's, you know, and then like, the shit then kept going. All bad,
ugly,
man.
Ugly. Keem says, what do you think will actually take for it to be settled, if it can at this point? Honestly, I don't know if it can be, and but I feel like we're gonna get our answer like relatively soon, the next couple months. Like, as far as like every day that goes by and the Elite's not re-signed yet, I think is something to pay attention to. And then that coinciding with Punk actually clearing up from injury, which will probably be around like 3 months from now.
Yeah. I think honestly what it would come down to, what would solve this thing, is Tony Khan and all the hinting and pointing and nudging around. Like, he clearly wants CM Punk back, and he's always wanted him to come back. He comes back, he shows up, he says what he feels he needs to say to whoever else, and go from there and get in a program with someone that's not involved in that shit, and then go from there. And then, like, if they eventually, and they'll all be around each other, and then they'll see the ratings, and they'll see who's programmed with who, and then eventually somebody along the line will be like, fuck it, I'll work with him. It's been enough time. I'm over it. We talked, blah, blah, blah. We patched it up, whatever. That's how it should work. Like, this CM Punk thing is not shining bright. It's not even close. But they still managed to work together with each other. Right? Like, this, you know, like, if they can't figure this out, like, I think we're kind of done with, like, interpersonal dynamics and the pressure cooker of entertainment. Like, if they can't figure this out. Because, like, you know, I think Lance has said stuff like this, like, no one has ever been, like, no one, and you look at overall history of this business, no one has ever been fired over something, over getting in a backstage fight.
Yeah. And
that's real. Obviously it's a different time, it's a different standard or whatever else, but, like, it's not a sports team, but, like, sports people, like I mentioned, like, people get into fights, it happens. So, like, I would be disappointed if they can't figure it out, if they can't, like, make this a workable situation where he can come back and whatever. And, like, when he comes back, he's gonna have to eat a lot of shit, or he's definitely, but either way, he's gonna be a lot of booze, whatever else, and he can make that work because he's that talented or whatever else. And he will still be valuable the second he comes back. The thing is, will there be people that want to work with him?
Yeah, because Adam brings up, like,
it doesn't matter how good he is if everyone boxes him out. If he gets boxed out by everybody, then what can you do? You gonna do programming with Jungle Boy?
Like, he was mentioning Jericho not fond of CM Punk. Mox may not be fond of CM Punk at this point.
Well, I mean, that promo, like, you know, when he said his path for his title, like, when he cut the promo of the year, like, I mean, that was a huge part of it. It's like, this promotion was built to not deal with this kind of bullshit that I'm now having to deal with and talk in front of you and, you know, explain. Yeah.
Yeah. I think TK's got to eventually, like, come out either in some type of press conference or, like, official kind of statement and really kind of step into the middle of this in a way that he did not at the press conference. He kind of, like, went as far away from it as one could, but he's going to have to either be like, this is what's happening, and be transparent with people. I think we can all handle it at that point, especially, like, these guys are making, you know, millions of dollars each. Like, I feel like, you know, and this kind of a big reason why I didn't bother asking Kenny about it. It was like, yo, like, it's ultimately not, like, you know, the person that's going to have to, like, make the decision is TK or solve it or anything like that. But, like, yo, you know, he has to make his intentions clear that he either wants one of these parties back or both of them back or none of them back. Yep. Like, and, you know, Crystal Fisher brings up a great point. Like, you know, one thing Tony did that was weird was he went on Observer Radio last year and he was, like, essentially promoting, like, the idea that Paige and Punk don't like each other. And I remember he was, like, saying something like, you know, that can be good, you know, for us. And, like, it was like, yeah, you can, but, like,
I remember that. I will say when he was saying that, he was more. It felt more like he was thinking out loud than actually saying that's what his hope is. So to be fair, it was more or less saying like, yeah, people do have had beef and they've done. So he has a point, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that, at least as of now. But I will say, everything else screams to me that he really wants Punk to come back. It just, but it's so far out that it's not even worth we're talking about it. We've been talking about it, but like, we'll see. We'll see in a couple months when he's healthy enough when they figure out if he's healthy enough to finally cut him or whatever else. But I will say, like, back to the sports analogy, if the whole locker room doesn't want him, he has to go. We're just going to see if enough time has passed and he's able to patch up enough stuff to where people will be able to get over it, because it's been months. It's been, since the summer.
Yeah.
Cooler heads can prevail, but we'll see.
But yeah, man, we had a big episode of AEW Dynamite last week. It was lots of great matches. Yes, we had opened up with MJF and Konosuke Takeshita. They were in El Paso, Texas. And MJF actually got in the ring and wrestled a match. Of course, Konosuke Takeshita lost again. But this is a really good match. I would say probably like, 4 and a quarter, something like that. MJF kind of displaying his hidden talent that he has. All this shit where, they keep him out of the ring for 2 months and all that. I'm over it at this point. I'd rather see him working regularly. But I've come to the realization they're just not going to do that with him. I would have liked Takeshita to win, but that I don't get what I want here.
You knew once they put the match what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not as high on the match as you. I thought the match was very good, or I'll probably give it like 3 3/4. I felt like too much of the match was MJF is going to bump around like he's he's hitting in the territories, like, for Takeshita kicking his ass, and then you knew what was going to happen. He's going to come back and lose. Like, it felt like one of those like Flair territory matches where he's like there to make the babyface or whatever else, and it's like, that's fun. And Takeshi's obviously great on offense, but it didn't grab me in that kind of way, except for like the Spanish Fly Land thing, which I howled because I was like, when the fuck has Miz ever done this or shit like this? When people want to talk about he's just Miz, like, bitch, where? bitch, Miz would have torn his ACL.
Both of them. But yeah, they did the whole deal where MJF won, and this is his second match in 2 months. After that, they basically had, MJF had the diamond ring, grabbed it from the ref. He started hitting Takeshita with it, busts him open. Danielson saves him, but, Takeshita was laid out. After that, we got a video package of Samoa Joe talking about regaining the TNT belt. Mentioned Wardlow wanted to take his title from him, but he's going to take everything from Wardlow in return.
Yeah. Some along the lines of mentioning how he actually respected Darby Allin, but he doesn't respect Wardlow. Yeah.
He said he knew Wardlow was like weak. He said something else like that too. So we had a eliminator match on the women's division. Jamie Hayter beating the Bunny. I think the Bunny got injured. Like, this was supposed to go longer, but it didn't for whatever reason. And Jamie, just put her away. I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, I saw some people worried that like the safety police were going to get on Jamie, and then like Jamie's going to stop hitting her, and I was like, nah, Jamie ain't going to stop hitting her. It's fine.
Susie 0083, welcome to the stream, first time chatter. So, Adam says he lost to the world champion. Bunny, she got concussed. Okay, yeah. So hopefully she's straight. So we had Renee backstage with Tony and Saraya. She called Hayter a loser before calling in Leva Bates. Then all of a sudden they attack Leva Bates with some horrible looking offense.
She's on the staff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because like, I don't remember last time I saw her on screen. Like maybe the beginning of AEW.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. But they spray painted an L on her. They're
Yes.
spray painting L's on people.
Yes.
This is like I don't know. Like but yeah. Baby girl needs to pass the mic, Bill's Mafia says.
Oh, Saraya calls her baby.
Yes.
Says baby girl a lot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, my man Diego, what's good, man? Yeah. Dave's all over the place when it comes to AEW. It's kind of been like that.
Yeah, I
since
saw
May.
that. Someone said that Meltzer has given them like 300 something 4 stars. Like, yeah, I know. He like anything that's 3 3/4, like he'll, or not anything, but like a lot of things that are 3 3/4, he'll slap a 4 on that shit quick. Like, go look. People have their ups and downs with cage match or grapple, and I agree. It's far more representative than just Dave Meltzer's ratings. Like, I will look at that before in comparison to the 4 stars that like matches that Meltzer's given out, and you look and you're like, yo, these are not nah. He's overdoing it. He's ODing it sometimes. It absolutely is. But whatever. Like, it's a lot to his style of the wrestling he prefers. Like, if you've seen Dave Meltzer rate matches at times, you kind of know what pops him. He loves lucha. Right, like, I mean, he likes all types of wrestling, but like, if you give him fast-paced flying wrestling with athleticism and hard-hitting, he's going to like, it's going to touch his tickle spots, if you will, or whatever, or it's going to trigger him positively more than other stuff.
After that, we got MJF cutting his promo. So he said Takeshita wasn't a match for a generational talent like himself. He doesn't know if people hate him because he's twisted or if he's twisted because he hates them. He then told this long cockamamie story about how in high school he got in a car accident with a girl he liked. Basically implied it was Liv Morgan. And then he was talking about, he said she cracked her head on the windshield when they met. He was getting some road action, to put it lightly.
God damn it, man.
That was the implied nature of this. He said he was met with the adversity and the cops came. He did the old switcheroo that made it look like she was driving. And in life, there are winners and losers. And tonight, he'll expose Bryan Danielson for the loser he is. MJF is proud of being a scumbag. I was kind of indifferent on this. When I heard it, I was like, well, I heard about it before I saw it because I got tuned in late. But I was like, all right, MJF. Yeah, I think MJF he's had a wide variance on his promo stuff since he's been champion. And it seems like he has a lot of ideas. And some of them need to be reeled in. But what'd you think of this one, James?
Oh, like I fucking hated this thing. Like, well, let's start here. Maybe I am grading him on too high and steep of a curve because of how talented I think he is. That even like we do this, I feel like every third promo with him, I'm like, it's well executed because he's so fucking talented, but I just wasn't feeling it, right?
It is better than the I have Nick Khan's phone number stuff, Keem. I agree.
It is. I will say, but it is less believable than I actually think he does have that. Like when he says he has Nick Khan's number, I actually believe that. This shit, I didn't believe for a second. Like, this is fake. Like, it was so funny because like seconds later after I like went on, I mini ranted about how like unbelievably fake this whole fucking thing is, and like how can anybody get worked by this? Like Eddie Kingston tweeted later, is like, what the fuck is this fake shit? And I was like, I fucking howled. But yeah, he does the promo and like, I think the thing for me is like, I'm thinking of like, what was it about him and CM Punk that made him rein this kind of nonsense in? Like when he told or not nonsense, like, or come up with it, or rein in the ideas of like what it means to be a bad guy and compelling to people, right? So, like the yelling and the staring in the camera and like the I'm doing everything perfectly because I saw fucking Ric Flair do it and everybody else do it, like on these territory tapes I saw. Sure, all that's pitch perfect because it's MJF. But like the context of the stuff he's saying in the story he's giving me, it's so ridiculous and I can't take any face value. Like when people said that like on Twitter that like people called into the local PDs for this and then
There's no way that's real.
And then what's it called? Did it was like, no one believed this bullshit for a second. Stop lying. I was like, yeah, of course don't believe that shit. No one believed that shit. So it's just for me, like I'm thinking the CM Punk stuff when he did the promo about like how he was bullied as a kid
and his upbringing and all that stuff.
And people were being anti-Semitic to him and everything. And then like CM Punk gave him this thing to look at and aspire to be. And then he left and he, like my jealous fan thing of like you left and all I had was anger left. And I felt like you deserted me. Right. And like you think of the cost. And then that promo Punk did of the next day or the next week where he's like, am I a good guy? And then he says like, every day I'm trying. Like that was great. This is like, there is no piece of humanity in him cutting this promo. There's nothing there. Mm-hmm. He's just, I'm evil and I spit in kids' faces and I stab homeless people. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, why would I ever want to watch you on my screen then if you're that irredeemably an asshole and you're just a despicable person and there's nothing that's compelling. You're just evil for the sake of being evil. You're a sociopath. Why would I want to watch that?
This is a step up from racism. This is a step up from Speak American. I'll say that. I was indifferent about this.
But from what I heard, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I was kind of indifferent about this. It was like, all right, maybe it was because it was spoiled ahead of time for me, and I wasn't like, what the fuck is he talking about in the moment? But I think his evolution shall continue.
Before we move on, I'm gonna send it to you so you can put on a thing. Rich, I know you don't really watch or you really like follow any of the comic book stuff, but I saw on Twitter something that fucking floored me. Someone showed a still of him backstage in that locker room, and someone said that pull up. I sent you a message, Rich. Someone said that MJF's hairline looked like Magneto's fucking helmet from X-Men, and I fucking howled.
Oh my god!
Because the person that said is absolutely right, and it floored me, and I was like, yo, for someone he's 26, 24, how old is he?
26, I believe.
When he is 36, he will be one of the members.
The members?
He will be one of the members.
He'll be joining the members. Look,
welcome.
I got about 2 months left till I'm 34. I'm still holding on strong, so trying to avoid that.
You are doing much better than me and MJF. Like the sad thing is, like, bro, I came home years ago, right?
You went home early.
I went home years ago. My hairline is better. My hairline has never been in that kind of situation. I got the move situation where it went going in the back first. This is still strong. You ain't gonna never see me with the. No. I am never gonna be out here looking like Eric Magnuson. No.
Man, I got the golden arches on top of his dome.
Yeah.
So after that, we got the Ricky Starks, Garcia Guevara gauntlet. It's more of an angle, I would say, than anything. Mm-hmm. Dispatching the geeks. And then I got tuned in for the Garcia Starks part. And they were doing some mat wrestling, but it ended up with Jericho on the outside in mask, using classic Chris Jericho
mask
trick.
Was that? What luchador was masked that? Was that wasn't Santo? Because Santo had blue.
Brother.
Who was it? Because it was or maybe it was some generic one, but it looked like a classic luchador mask.
So he was sitting there the whole fucking time while the show was going on. Like Jericho's a fucking ham. He sat there before the show started just to do the angle.
Yes, the Vegeta hairline. Sorry, Rich. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That is the Vegeta hairline. But the thing with Vegeta's a cartoon character. His hairline was built like that on purpose, and his hairline has been like that for decades. MJF's hairline will not remain like that for decades. Sorry, Rich. Sorry to interrupt you. I just had to point that out.
Good.
Someone made a great point. That is the Vegeta. Absolutely.
I'm learning Jericho on Rampage. I did not catch Rampage. I only caught Swerve letting us know Black History Month to Dustin Rhodes, which was fucking hilarious, by the way. Jericho said he was El Ocho. That's who he was dressed as.
That's funny.
So
that's good, El Ocho.
So he fucking attacks him with the Jews effect, and then Starks is staggered and he loses. So looks like that's still the direction for Revolution.
So Starks beat Jericho, and now he's going through a gauntlet to face Jericho again.
Well, remember when he beat Jericho, they powerbombed that nigga through a table. So he wants to get back.
But shouldn't they have done something where okay, so you have to tell me, has Starks been able to embarrass Jericho since then, physically?
I believe he beat Hager the next week.
But was he ever able to put hands and lay out Jericho since?
I don't think he's got the Jericho since.
Okay, I think that's kind of missing.
Unless I'm misremembering, maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. But the Acclaim were backstage with Renee. Daddy ass said he's going to stay in the back for the tag title match. Bones is a little hesitant. After that, we have Renee in the trainer's room. She was with Konosuke Takeshita and Bryan Danielson, and all of a sudden they heard a door lock. And then Roosh's music hit. And then Roosh made his entrance. And then MJF told Sweet Cheeks Aubrey Edwards, since Brian was in the back, she needs to ring the bell to start the match. She basically does that, but Danielson breaks the walls down, literally. Busts through the door, knocking doors down like Pimp C.
God damn it.
I was going to get them all in right there. But
oh my fucking god!
And then Preston Vance and Jose tried to hold him back, but Takeshita helped fend him off. Aubrey counted slow as fuck, but Danielson sprinted out there and it was on. And then we got a good old fashioned Arena Mexico brawl in this bitch.
The match was great. I don't like it. I don't think it's one of the greatest matches, one of the 15 greatest matches of all time, when that initial cage match rating came in. Bro, but it was great.
When I saw that shit was a 9.6 on, I was like, all right, man, we gotta punt the brakes. We gotta stop this.
Man, look, man, you put
I just watched the Tokyo Dome. No.
Right. You put any, it feels like if you put any 4.5 star match on AEW and then there's blood, it could go anywhere. As far as overrating, it could go anywhere. Look, if you give this thing 4 3/4, I ain't mad at you. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great match. It
is not Kobashi Sasaki. It's just not. I'm sorry. Cut the shit. You got to cut the shit.
Yeah. Roosh has been awesome. I feel like this is the best performance he's had. Danielson was bleeding that real blood. It wasn't like he was, just a little blade and then there's just a little bit hanging off him. It was nah, he's flowing, leaking.
Yeah. So what the fuck is MJF supposed to do to top this?
What was he supposed to do to top Danielson versus Bandito or Danielson versus Konosuke Takeshita?
Rich. I missed those episodes. I didn't see those. I have missed those. I got to go back. I heard great things. I just hadn't watched them. But yes, but look, I assumed. But that's the same thing. I keep assuming this thing and
James. What is he going to do? James, he's going to work the arm for 60 minutes. That's what he's going to do to top this.
I don't think that's going to happen. But my thing is obviously in a vacuum, if you do 10 MJF Danielson matches and 10 MJF Bandito match or 10 Danielson Bandito or 10 Danielson Takeshita matches, most of the matches are going to be the superior match are going to be the Takeshita and Bandito matches. But there is a place where they can do the bloodbath type of match, like the match with CM Punk at Revolution type of bloodbath match, and that could be the match. He's got
the alignment on this too. That works a lot better, when he's wrestling against heels.
Right.
And Roosh will get some heat.
Yeah. But the problem is, you just gave away the bloodbath to Roosh. So now what do you have? Obviously, both are going to bleed again. They're going to do it. But it's like, you're going to bloodbath, and I'm going to see that match. And I'm going to compare it to the Roosh match and be like, hey, bro, I don't think this match is good as that Roosh match. Probably. We'll see what happens on the night of. But, like, Danielson's on such a high level right now that, like, anything he's going to do is going to be great. But it's like, he's doing, awesome stuff. Like, he's back in, like, when he first came back in kind of vibe right now. So it's like, this dude might be the best wrestler in the world in ring. And it's like, he's going to wrestle the world champion. And I'm like, I'm going to, like, even more so than with Adam Page, like, bruh, the Revolution happens. I know he's going to lose. I don't give a fuck. I'm showing up with my Bryan Danielson kicking head since 1999 shirt. I'm showing up, and like I'm hoping for a miracle. I know he's gonna go down in flames. I know, because he doesn't want to be champion, but he needs to realize he needs to be fucking champion because he's been that fucking good this since the year started. New calendar flipped over.
Look, I think MJF will come to wrestle. One can hope. He wrestles so infrequently that every time he steps in is almost like a prove it situation for him. Because that was like when he was working Wheeler Yuta. It felt like the same thing when he wrestled this time. It was like, it's just those long breaks and the nothing but talking, and then it's like the wide variance. It's like. And also the rest of the show being such a wrestling heavy thing where no one else is really getting to express themselves, you forget about MJF. Like, we know this guy's excellent. But it's like he kind of loses that a little bit, I feel like. Yeah,
he's excellent, but there's also a ceiling on like how high he can take this. Like he's never like he's just flat out never gonna have the best match on a takeover or not takeover. I mean even on a takeover, but he's just never gonna have the best match on a AEW pay per view. Never gonna happen. And obviously, like we've had Moxley be champion, we've had Jericho be champion. If you just have a great match, it doesn't really matter. But it's just that thing that kind of sticks in my mind is like he can say what he wants to about him being the best in the world, like, but that's just heat. That's just for heat. Like, no one's buying that, bro. Like, you get in the ring and, like, you do your thing and then, like, someone doesn't get beaten. Like, either you beat somebody by cheating or you have your banana in the tailpipe way to lose. There's always an excuse for whoever gets pinned in his matches. And it's like, I think that's an overall thing of, like, why I don't find him as compelling as I used to is, like, once I come to that realization, it's like, oh, this shit don't matter. It's always a fucking scam to the next thing. Like he really is like a student of American professional wrestling as far as scamming the fans out of finishes. He really is.
But I think we should mention again, Danielson versus Roosh. Check it out. Yeah. I was talking to Josh, and it was almost like Danielson walked up to Roosh and was like, "How about you be Roosh and I be La Parka, and we we go out there and do it."
Yeah, man. Like Roosh has been great just coming in, but like this is his best match. This is his best match in the company.
So I think there's much in the way the main event. I think there's gonna be a reward for Roosh coming soon.
Yeah.
So up next,
he's definitely proved it every chance he got.
Look, following it back, we had a segment with Impractical Jokers stealing Chris Jericho's bat. So they're doing some cross promotion stuff.
I think I ended up getting played out on Rampage.
Yeah. Then we got the Elite taking on AR Fox and Top Flight. You already know what it is. Like, loved it. Thought AR Fox and Kenny was a nice match within a match. I thought Nick Jackson looked great. Fox was like really like, since he was losing, it seems like, the strategy was to highlight him as much as possible.
Yeah.
And what do you expect? It's the Elite in these trios matches, and this is a human highlight film with all this shit. So definitely, much like the last match, go out of your way to see it if you didn't see this one. Kenny was over as fuck in this building. Lots of big Kenny chants. So like, I think there's a groundswell happening. So keep an eye on that.
I mean, it's been happening when they, ever since the best of 7, like building towards hot tags for Kenny. Like they are setting these matches up to where like Kenny comes in and he does his thing and they're going nuts for him. They want him because they recognize he's the biggest star like in most of these matches. Yeah,
and he basically used the Saki Kashima finish.
Yes, he did. He hit the fucking Sapapapan.
I forgot to mention that when I talked to him, but I was going to say, my God. Did you check out Saki Kashima? Bill's Mafia brings up the Elite do this in their sleep. Another one like 4.5 on the board, easy.
That's great.
Like the trios belts, like if you look at like the average star rating for all the trios matches, that's just got to be very high,
way up there. Yeah.
Aside from like maybe the Rampage match that they had with Ethan Page, Cassidy, and Matt Hardy, and that wasn't too bad. That was like
Isaiah Cassidy. I'm like, why the fuck is Orange Cassidy with me?
Isaiah Cassidy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember that because that was when they were doing the whole thing about like with Callis talking about like, you wanna he's telling Kenny Omega like, I need you to hit Matt Hardy with the One Wing Angel so that could be a what was it, an NFT? Yeah, okay. I ain't tripping over missing a Matt Hardy match in 2023. Even with the Elite.
A true scammer. But yeah, that this shit was excellent. Imagine wanting to let this walk out. So after we had Stokely said there's no cracks in the firm, all the problems stem from Hook. He basically walked up behind Stoke, put him in an arm bar, and then we got the main event. We got the Guns versus the Acclaim for the AEW Tag Team Championships. And we got some new champions.
Look, first things first, the match didn't have much heat compared to other matches on the show, but it was a good match.
Yeah, it was straight.
The crowd got killed by the finish in the title change. They were not expecting that, and they were kind of like in a bit of stunned confusion that the Ass Boys are now the champions, which it was the point of doing this. But when you saw that, when you hear about those quarter ratings, this was not the week to do this shit. It was not.
Yeah, it was. I know why they did it though. Like, I guess we should the Ass Boys are not the worst people to ever enter the business. I feel like it's
that's true.
Like, I feel like we need to establish that this did not happen out of nowhere, contrary to what someone may say. But if you look at the Ass Boys, I've kind of slowly like seen them like turn into like good bumpers, good feeders, like good sellers, like of people's offenses, good at getting people over.
I feel like they were always that, especially like that's what got the Acclaimed over, showing like how lame the Ass Boys are in comparison to them.
So they were the reason FTR was able to turn face. Mm-hmm. They were able to, as you mentioned, they had the rivalry with the Acclaimed that started before they got to the championships, that launched the Acclaim to the titles. They ended up getting one of those wins over FTR to basically like when they got that sneak win over FTR, that should have been the alarm going off in people's head, like something's happening, as well as like burying them, with the FTR RIP funeral, which is fucking great. These guys can talk, they have a look, they're charismatic in their own way.
They have a look, but the look is 94 Shawn Michaels.
Yes, but they're fucking like, they lean into it.
That's the point. That's the heat of it. I get it. It's the heat of it.
Yeah. And from this, like, they steal the belts, like, and are they the Young Bucks? No. Are they FTR? No. Are they Lucha Brothers? No. Are they Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus? No. Like, are they Swerve in Our Glory? No. But this clearly looks like some type of transitional thing, whether it's to get it to FTR or get it back to the Acclaim. I don't think it's going back to the Acclaim. I think it's going to FTR.
Look at the comments.
They're a Fed tag team.
That shit just killed me. Shit!
From everything I hear, these guys work really hard, they're well liked, and it was about time for them to get some type of reward. I understand it, especially as much as they've kind of they've done a lot of jobs leading up to this and helped get a lot of other people over. And if this is this is your 1 month, thank you, essentially, I can understand it. But you look at that building and they did not understand it. They're like, what the fuck is this? Right. You claimed y'all stole from us.
And I haven't seen the exact number on it, but the way people were talking about that quarter hour, the audience didn't understand either. They didn't even want to watch that shit. There obviously, once that happened, same thing you mentioned, I thought about, it's okay, so FTR lost to them. They put them over. They also put over the Acclaimed. It's not over with FTR and the Guns. I can see them getting the titles, and they're looked at as saviors to save these belts, as opposed to having to go up against the Acclaimed and have the title change, and people be upset about it. But I also see that they're going to be the champions, and I can also see them getting their win back over the Acclaimed after they're already the champions again, and then people be like, well, they're already champions, whatever, and they had a great match. It is what it is. Time to move on. And people can really complain because the belts were just on the ass boys. It was rather have on FTR 10 times out of 10 or 1,000 times out of 1,000 than the ass boys. It's really diabolical booking. It really is.
Yeah, it was it's a lot. And with them timing that their exit from TV, they can come right back in and do whatever. But let's get it on FTR. Let's see what they can do with it, and then let's see where it takes them. If you smell what I'm cooking. That was the AEW show for this week. James, I guess it's time for you to hit the music.
Okay, so didn't do a show last week, so I'm basically going to review the anniversary show. Stardom Supreme Fight 2023. This was a great show. I would say 3 of the last 4 matches were great. All of them 4.25 or above. I was really impressed. The Momo Kamatani match is kind of it feels like they're really running out of steam with whatever they're doing with Kamatani, and they need to figure out whether it's Mina or Kid or Naspoi or Mirai, whoever the successor is, and they need to set that up for Yokohama Arena. But outside of that, in parts of, and it wasn't a bad match. It was probably just a 3 3/4 thing, which or maybe 3.5, depending on your opinion of it, as far as the level of sloppy it could be at times. But I still thought this was a great show, and a lot of pleasant surprises, if you will, as far as the quality of some of the stuff that you thought could have an undercard. I'm not gonna go through the undercard matches, but I will say that they had a gauntlet match called a Naniwa Roulette match, which is basically a gauntlet match with a 5-minute time limit for each fall and elimination, top rope elimination, right? So, they basically had Mayu come out first because it was her idea, and they basically ran the idea she came up with her idea for the winner of this gets a title shot. She gets the first draw. She has to come out. Obviously, it's the 12th anniversary show. She's the first person out for the show. And she's rushed and she got to come out. She's disappointed. She's number 1, and she doesn't have her jacket on. She didn't even bring a mask to come out for the entrance. She comes out and she basically wrestles a bunch of young girls, kicks their asses, and then Tam comes out and they basically beat the shit out of each other until a 5-minute draw, and they're both eliminated and they move on with the next 2 contestants. And then like from there it gets to like Mina and Natsupoi. They both eliminate each other on a draw. Then there's another double elimination. They both. You okay with Mina getting eliminated just because Toy got eliminated? What?
Yeah, so sacrifices
boy,
you got to take. Sacrifices.
Means justify the ends. That boy, see, now that's a villain. That's a villain.
Mina was under contract. You know, she did her job. You know.
So,
get rid of Natsupoi for me.
Wow, wow.
Elimination.
So there was also a trios match with God's Eye with Konami returning. So it was Ami, Konami, and Shuri versus Queen's Quest. So it was Utami, Azumi, and Lady C. Konami ends up beating Lady C and getting the win. Fun match, but it's undercard match. They kind of just flew through. Konami just like every time she comes back for spots now, it's just like it's almost like she never lost a step, and she's just, you know, I miss her, but like she comes back and she's always just at the top level, and then she goes off and goes away, and then she'll be back in 4 months, 5 months, whatever else. But she's still just great. So then you start getting to like the last 4 matches that were just excellent, for the most part excellent, and I'm sorry, I forgot a Triangle Derby match. Stars with Hazuki Kaguma and Ida end up being what do they call it? Unique Glare. So that's Starlight Kid, Roaka, and Haruka Masaki for that you see on the New Blood shows in Sumo Hall semi-main events. So that match is good as well. But it wasn't as good as the Konami match. Then you get to Mirai versus Chihiro Hashimoto. Hashimoto.
Saw a big gif out of this one. Yeah.
So, Rich, you're familiar with the name. I don't think you've seen much of her, but like she's Sendai Girls ace. Like basically the booking for Sendai Girls for years has been like Chihiro's the champion. She loses to an outsider, and then she gets her win back later in the year. That's kind of what their booking has been for a few years now. That's why we don't cover Sendai, but they have good wrestlers. I particularly like her and Mika Wada. But so Chihiro like has a build of like a power lifter. Wears the like the big like singlet or whatever else, and She can do a lot of things, but like she's in a Mirai, so they start the match with like just excellent technical mat and floor and chain wrestling, just awesome. And then eventually, like, Mirai fancies herself as a technician. She's really good at it, but then like Chihiro just basically just outclassed her, just keeps fucking cutting off her water, and then like she starts whooping her ass, and then Mirai has to fight from underneath, and Mirai starts fighting back, and it's great. And then all of a sudden, like, Mariah hits the ropes, and, like, Chihiro ducks behind her, and Chihiro does her huge scooping, like, high-angle German suplex that when she does people, it always looks devastating. Like, the gif you saw, that was, like, the third time, that was the first of the 3 times she did in this match, but, like, there's one I have from a few years ago, her doing it to Miyu Momono from Marvelous, and it's, like, even worse than that. She somehow gets her higher in the air than Mirai was for that one, but it was just, Mirai ends up on her fucking neck.
We have a lot of fans of Big MF Hash in the comments right now.
Chihiro's fucking awesome. She's awesome. It's just, you don't see much of her just like, because she's on like the lower tier of the Joshi scene right now, even though she's one of the most talented people in the game. Like, you've seen
Maybe she could wrestle Mercedes.
She mentioned her, right? Remember, like, when she goes to Sendai, when Mercedes goes to Sendai, she's in there with Chihiro. So, like, you've seen you a number of times. Like, she's used tag partner on the indies, on the Joshi scene. Like, they're like 2 or 3 time champions in 2 or 3 different promotions right now. So, like, they're the Marvelous Tag Champions. They're the tag champions in somewhere else too, at least. So, but Chihiro's another level than you. Which is saying something, because you've seen you have some fucking great matches. Especially in this tag run she's had with Nai of late, which we'll get to in a second. So Mariah just keeps fighting back, but Chihiro keeps putting her down and then ends up pinning her after one of the big Germans and gets the win. And like, this match is awesome. Like, if you gave this 4 1/4, I wouldn't be mad at you, but I gave it 4. It was great. And it was a short little match. I think it went like, I'm looking at it, went 15 minutes. It went longer than I thought it. It felt like it went 12 minutes. That's how good it was. I would definitely suggest it to you. So next match after that, Goddess title match, 7 Up, Nanai and you versus Hime.
This is a good time to bring it up.
This match is everything I wanted and more. Another big spot for 7 Up and another 4 1/4 or better match from them. Like from the tag league final against Kamatani and Utami to Sumo Hall when they won the belts from Tam and Natsupoi to this, like, I don't think I've seen a Stardom tag team have 3 like big matches that were this good in 3 in a row like this. They're, we'll see where the rest of this goes as far as how much longer they'll have the titles, or they're, they've earned the right to stay as a top tag team, because they definitely have, in my opinion, as far as their match quality. But they're fucking awesome. And like this match starts where like Himeka, they start out hot, and then Himeka goes for like a Daniel Bryan running knee off the apron, and like she lands high on Nanai on the floor, and she lands and she immediately clutches her knee, and you think like she just blew her knee. Like, I'm sitting there thinking she just blew her fucking knee. They're gonna have to wrestle this. They're gonna have to blow this. Stop this match. And I was like, I felt bad for her, felt terrible. And then after about a minute, I realized I was worked. Like they basically left Micah out there to basically tag in, or the match didn't get started. She didn't tag in. She basically started the match, and she's fighting for her life against Nanai and you in separate occasions by herself until Micah gets up on the corner, and then Micah basically goes to a closing stretch with Nanai, and they kick out of the damnedest of finishers until Nanai finally beats her with a Nanoracker, and it was fucking awesome. Like this was like, this was some of the best of Himeka in the ring. Like when you saw her against Shuri last year, or with the end of that Kamatani white belt match where she's just like, she's on fire, and the crowd was dying for Hime to win the tag titles back or win them again. And this ultimately didn't happen because the Nanai put her away. But like that match, that closing stretch was awesome. And the Nanai and you, they're just another 4 1/4 to throw onto the thing. They're just awesome together. And like, it doesn't matter who's closing the match, whether it's Nanai or it's you, that closing stretch is going to be off the charts. They're just great. And like, Nanai probably can't do it at, that high level as a single anymore, but you give her the space to have the closing stretch, she can still do the closing stretch like she was doing like before she fucked up her ankle. And she's fucking great. And Himeka's great. And I guess now should we talk about it?
Yeah.
So Himeka earlier this week or last week announced that she will be retiring from pro wrestling and entertainment and will now just live life as a civilian. And we haven't really had like a full-on retirement in Stardom in a minute.
Been a while.
Yeah, Konami, she's semi-retired, if you will, or whatever. And like Jungle, she's still wrestling. And like the last one, really, I guess Kagetsu.
Yeah.
And it stinks because like this is somebody that like over the last year particularly has improved, one of the more improved wrestlers in the world. Like from the sense of not, I think personally, like very similar to when people like vote for like most improved player for the NBA. Like the jump from like starter or jump from like ground floor to the second floor is high, but like it's more advanced and more pronounced when you go from like you're on the third floor and you get to the fourth floor. And I think that like she was always a very good tag wrestler, but she wasn't some slam dunk of a singles wrestler. until last year in her title challenges, and she was great. And then, the last match, or her final match of the Grand Prix with Himeka, that match was great. When they ended up in the time limit draw. And I'm just like, I thought that, I really wanted, her and Himeka to win the tag league this year and get, that tag title run that was long that like they didn't get when they had it the first time. And it's not going to happen. But like, now I see why they didn't win and like why they went with what they went with, because like they knew that she was winding down. But like, yeah, I just, a person that came to Stardom and improved as a wrestler and like, was a member of a lot of great teams and a lot of great like tag matches, and like even like in the last, her last year, like add her best matches from a singles perspective. And I thought like she just kept improving, and it sucks that like we don't get to see like where it could have ended up, but she has enough like for the catalog to talk about.
Yeah, I really started becoming a big fan of hers last summer, and it was just like, from that time forward, I thought she was like the best big woman like in wrestling.
Yeah.
And she had, like she had such a like I remember dubbing her like she was she was the woman on the girls basketball team that wore number 54, that held down a lane, was big as hell and tough as hell, and you couldn't move her, right? And she wore the big ass knee brace or whatever, right? The Andrew Bynum joint. But she I was into Himeka, like for sure. Like she had a fan in me, and hopefully she gets to whoop Natsupoi again on the way out. But like everything you said, like I really enjoyed her match with Shuri last year. And I think she just like made a lot of strides, and it was just like I woke up and saw she was retiring. I was just like, oh yeah, they do have those early retirements that still can happen here. She's like it was like a reminder. Yeah, she's like 25. Yeah. And Keem brings a great point. We got to cherish people while they're still here, because, like, it could be over in a flash, like, with almost anyone. So, best wishes to her. And, if she comes back one day, cool. If not, there's lots of, I think she leaves a lot of good tape to study from. And I would have loved to, like, send someone like Jade Cargill over to her and figure it out. And but that ship has sailed. Himeka and Himeka is I think is a tag team that I think all of us can really appreciate now. And seeing like this is Kane and Undertaker, but imagine if they were good. That's what Micah and Himeka is to me. Kane and Undertaker, but they're good. So
I think that now that we mentioned like her progress as a singles wrestler, she was always a very good tag wrestler. And like My Hime was one of my favorite tag teams in the world. They're just two big, tough women that just club and pound the shit out of you and expect the same in return. And like, I'm gonna miss it. I'm really gonna miss it. Like they were, I affectionately called them the Bash sisters for a few years. JML calls them the Regulators because that's what they do. They number straightening.
JML did a pretty good thread talking about Himeka too.
Yeah, like they really became one of my favorite tag teams, and I remember I think last year they had a great match to go at the end of one of the best shows of the year last year, that Grand Prix final, and I said like they had that time limit draw. And they basically picked each other up, and they basically walked up the ramp together, and smiling at like all this was just a good ass whooping competition. And I remember saying like, I never want to see them break up. I never want to see them. I actually said I never want to see them not be a tag team. And double negative. That's what. And I meant that shit. Like they're.
I heard something like Himeka, like part of the reason like she's laying it down is like she. I don't know if I had this right, but she had. Felt she had gone as far as she could go in Stardom.
I would agree with that. And I'm still sad. While she's probably accurate in that, I'm sad that she's gone. Because she's someone that's going to be, you know, they would put her on the marquee on the big poster. She's a big head. She would be a big head. But yeah, like just from the Natsupoi, or sorry, Natsupoi, from the My Himepoi stuff to My Hime, whether you know the trios or the tag team, like they put in some great matches over the last couple years. Whether it's that trios team or as a tag team, and like thinking of like, you know, you see they put teams together and you see how the chemistry works and vibes work off each other, but from day one when like Himeka, you know, she was a number 3 in the original 3 for Dama El Mondo, and the number 4 comes in as Himeka, like from almost day one they put her in there with Himeka, and they basically were inseparable, like off screen or like on these like behind the scenes things. Like they became like the best of pro wrestling friends. And like they were just so great together, and you could tell they had a genuine bond. And I'm going, and like to see that that the scheduled match, or she requested that her last match be with Himeka at the big Yokohama Arena show. I was just like, Y'all just want a nigga to cry, huh? That's just what it is. Y'all just want to see. This is what you're doing, huh? I see y'all. That's disgusting. Look, most disgusting promotional tactic: making James Boy cry. Y'all, I see what y'all doing. That's really gross. That's really nasty. But yeah, like I can't wait to see it. That's gonna be really emotional and physical. It's gonna be both.
Yeah, they're gonna leave it out there.
Yeah, it's gonna be some real Allen Iverson.
Bump.
It's gonna be some real Allen Iverson. Yeah, ass gonna be whooped in that ring, with love. But yeah, like I mean, I think my favorite moment between them, my favorite like My Hime interaction was this actual past tag league. So they're there for the press conference for it, and they're together, and like Micah, like. They say they're going to win it, and, you know, like, when you win the tag league, they have, like, tandem rings, like, you know, putting your rings, you know, that's like your trophy. Like, they give you rings with the in the shape of the tag titles on the rings. They started that in 2020. And so Micah starts talking, and she's like, we got this in the bag because we're bonded. And, like, she grabs Himeka's hand. Micah takes off one of the rings on her hands, and Micah puts a ring on it. And that was so I just like, you know, they so close to even fake married. So it's like, yeah, that's just such a great bond and closeness, and like it's gonna be rough when like by the end of that match. It's gonna be real rough to watch that. It really is. But you know, she wants out, and like that's gonna be a great match regardless. So I can't wait to see it. Hate to see her go, but this is what she wants. And you know, wish her the best, because like you said, she basically became the best big woman in wrestling like over this last year. Just a lot of work put into it and everything. A lot of work put into it. Like, and like it's really hard to see women like her bump like that. Like women her size bump like that. She's just you know, like the Vince McMahon meme. She was special, like in that kind of rare breed of like. You got this 6'8" woman that can bump around like she's Sasha Banks. That's unusual. It's really unusual. So wish her the best. But yeah, moving on with the rest of this card. Then you get to the Saya Kamatani and Momo Watanabe match.
Hey, before we do that,
yeah,
the record is set. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I feel like there is a real ceiling on Momo matches now, because of the cheating and Oedo shenanigans. Like, if this was 2020 and they had this match, you're getting out of Momo, you're going to have a great performance, and you're going to get yourself a great match because she had the willpower to just will a match to greatness because she was that good. And obviously, nothing's changed physically with her. She still has had great matches since this change in direction for character. But Kamatani feels like she's still kind of like has her confidence sapped in these title matches ever since the Mina thing. And her work has been sloppier in these title matches since then. And when you could, once you throw that with like the, throw the Oedo Tai trunk while Kamitani is going for a springboard off the top to the floor, but you miss by a million miles. It's just a lot of just like, this is rough. This is really rough for two of the better, wrestlers you'll see in the company at times. It was uncharacteristically like underwhelming for these two. I can't sugarcoat it. I'd probably give this thing like 3.5. It's like maybe 3 3/4. Like if it was one of the worst Kamitani white belt defenses, it just was. I wasn't really engaged in the action, and when it just didn't click physically, and I felt like a lot of it was like when they actually were wrestling, it felt like a lot of it was Kamitani wasn't up to snuff technically, or as far as crisp. It just felt sloppy. But Kamitani ended up winning with a 450 splash, and she moves on. She called out Mina earlier in the year to get another shot. But we'll see if and when that happens. She moves on, and it feels like it's running out of steam with her with this white belt.
I think it's coming towards time. You set the record.
Yeah.
Let's figure out something else, and then put her in tags for a little bit.
Well, and, I was thinking
rebuild the unit.
With Triangle Derby, she's in there with her teammates or Azumi and Utami. So I was just assuming like they got to be the favorites because it's their top 3. So I was thinking like that's a nice landing spot. Like as a transition out of it, I was but we'll see where this all goes because like the Triangle Derby finishes up before we get to Yokohama Arena. So we'll see. So the main event, Julia versus Suzuki. This match went way longer than the tie they had at the Grand Prix final, but I found the Grand Prix final to be more compelling. They started this match on the mat, and I hated the choice. And then they did a lot of like opening 5 minutes of groundwork, and I'm like, I understand that like Shuri did this, but Julia, like, you're not Shuri, and you're not in here with Shuri. Like, I'm not here to see Suzu and Julia, like, work on the mat. And then eventually they got up and started beating the shit out of each other, and that was much more, to my liking. And it was a lot, it ended up getting great. But, like, I'd probably say, like the 4-star, 4 1/4 range. It wasn't like, I still think that, their draw was better. But, it was just, it felt like they had to go 25 minutes as opposed to like filling out the 25 minutes well. It was a bit flat for me, but like, as far as my expectations for the match, that's probably why I felt flat for, but it was still a great match nonetheless. But, it was a great match. Julia ended up finishing her off with the, not the Vermilion, but with the regular Northern Lights bomb. I was expecting a kick out, but just put her away with that. After the end of the match, Julia extended a hand, and Suzu shook it, but hated it, and like basically like threw her hand away and rolled out. And then also Julia, she debuted new music.
Heard it was horrible.
It was okay. I think that it does not fit the character, or at least what the character has been. Like it feels a lot like EO's old Stardom music, and like EO and Julia are totally different people. But whatever. Maybe it'll grow on me over time. But like I felt like I think it was a step down in new music. It was just like a change for the sake of change.
It's like Mike said, as someone who's gotten into Stardom within the last year, I don't see the point of the heel turn with Momo. I'll tell you what I think it is. She was someone that was no longer that was going to be pushed as a babyface at the top anywhere. So it was like one of those good old Bret Hart situations. They put the list of names on 2 papers. Either A, you can wrestle against all these people and lose, or B, you can wrestle all these other people and be on the other side of the coin. You might lose, but you might win a few more.
Yeah, it was a lot of that. It was also like, after about a year, they kind of like to shape the status quo of the factions, and like the core of Kamatani and Momo and Azumi and Utami had gotten not stale, but it's like it's been a lot of the same for a while now. It needs to be shaken up some. Like that's what happened with DDM the beginning of or the middle of last year with like Shuri's departure and Natsupoi departures. They need to be freshened up. Similar thing happened, it was about to happen to Cosmic Angels with like the Mina thing, however that shakes out. They just feel like after about a year and a half, it's about time to switch it up. Even if you love them and their chemistry together, they feel like gotta, switch up these groups and whatever else. So they went with the Oedo Tai time thing at the time. And also Oedo Tai desperately needed top level wrestlers. Because it was Starlight, because remember, before Starlight Kid got there, it was Natsuko Tora, Sai Kashima, Konami was their best wrestler. B had just left, like in the spring, and they were, they didn't have quality, like, you can put them in a semi-main event and just say, there you go do your thing. It was, so they put Starlight Kid there to make her the de facto, leader, because they didn't have a leader at the time, or a leader that was believable, like Natsuko wasn't believable as a leader, at like being at the top of a card or anything. So they want to start like Kid as a future to build to that over the next couple of years, which we're heading to that this year or maybe next year. And then, but they need another person because like Konami was going into semi-retirement. So then they basically plucked Momo for it because it also was like the double whammy of they need top level wrestlers in that top four of Queen's Quest has been locked in place since 2020, since spring of 2020. So they end up pulling the trigger on that. So I'm not mad at it. I just, and quite frankly, those Starlight Kid and Momo have made, Oedo Tai matches top to bottom, or Oedo Tai top to bottom more interesting and made their matches better and like have inspired like Saki to find a role as a third in that trios team, and also like made Natsuko come back from injury and give a fuck in a way that she flat out was not before she got injured. So, it's a net positive for me as far as roster positioning, but like for her outlook in the company, she did take a step down. She did.
She's going down.
Undoubtedly. But it was for the better of the team and promotion, if you will. So yeah. But yeah, like I said, great card. Lots of great matches up and down. 3 matches I absolutely say go out your way to watch, and then 2 other matches that I would say are really fun to check out. But that is Stardom. They have a pay-per-view on the 4th of March. They reschedule.
Keem said, "Who y'all got for Cinderella this year?" Mirai. Back to back, baby. Back to back, baby.
I mean, they did do that with the first 2 with Mayu. One thing about let's say about Cinderella. They are doing 36 wrestlers. That's way too goddamn many people for Cinderella. I understand it's a 10-minute time limit for the beginning rounds and all that kind of stuff, and it's over the top rope elimination. Still, that's way too many fucking wrestlers. You're throwing in buys and all that kind of stuff. I understand there were buys last year, but there was only 2 buys last year. Now there's going to be, at least 4. We'll see how it goes, but if I had to guess, thinking of people that make sense, I think Starlight Kid's too obvious. I thought she should have won it last year. She did not win it. They ended up going Mirai. So for me, I'm going to say Mina seems like she doesn't need it because she can just get a title shot because once she's been offered it and she's already been gunning for it and all that kind of stuff, and now she's already on the map. Like Cinderella is kind of like, it's not exactly like, but it's like what the spirit of what Money in the Bank originally was. Is like, this could potentially get somebody jump started to get them to being a player, or have a breakthrough year. So for me, I think Natsupoi has now jumped past that, because of the feud she had with Tam and then joining in the tag run. I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't think they would do this, but I would say try Hannon. Like given how well she did in last year in the Features belt in these matches, given her age, given her size, like they put her in the Grand Prix last year, like I don't know what her birthday is, but like she's about to be 18. Or maybe she already is 18, or especially like she'll be out of high school soon.
I mean,
like,
it would line up with Ross who wanted to pick a new person.
Yeah,
like he does every year.
Yeah, so I'll say Hannon. Micah, they could do that. I feel like Micah is already too on the scene to do it. It's like she can get a title shot just by ask for it. She can get 2 a year or 1 a year. But yeah, I would say Hannah as far as a off the wall one not to expect, but like I feel like everybody that's on Mirai, people that could be successors to Kamatani, I feel like they're all too big to win it. Maybe you do Hazuki.
Team said, "How about Micah?" I don't know if Hiroki Goto about to get rewarded out here.
Oh god damn it! I hate you. I think Cinderella wraps up before Yokohama Arena. I'm not just before it. So like, I think she's already, I feel like they're going to set that up for a title shot. So I think Micah's already spoken for with the Himeka match, Himeka retirement match. But yeah, I would say I would say as far as like kind of like off the beaten path, I would go with Hannon as my pick. But I mean, whoever they pick. I'm sure they'll actually. I think they have a good chance to actually win this year. I think they, with Kamatani last year and then Kamatani with 21, and then Mirai last year. They burnt off. They beat the two Cinderella winners back to back. So like, they can now like do the whole full go all the way with that person this year. But we'll see. On the 4th of March. They have the next pay-per-view, and this is where they're rescheduling the Starlight Kid Zumi high-speed match that I got robbed out of seeing in person on January 8th.
Shame.
Yeah, so that's where they're going to do it, and can't wait to see that. They're also putting on that card, they're putting Chihiro Hashimoto versus, I believe, Ami. She's basically running through all of God's eye to get to her. So
Maki. Rossi may put it on Mariah May.
I can see that. Look, don't be shocked. Like, look, 2017, Tony Storm won. It's happened before.
That is, Zalnita CV says that is disgusting, but I can see it.
I don't know why that'd be disgusting. Like, from what we've seen in her, she's good. Like, she is obviously she's not the best wrestler in the promotion, but like she's a decent gaijin by the standards of what you look. Mariah May has been in a lot than most of the motherfuckers that I was seeing in 2019. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a bean. Come on now. You was not out here living this Rebel Kell life where Azumi is 16 and having to carry her through the fucking opening round of the Cinderella tournament.
Is Rebel Kell the same Rebel from AEW, or is that somebody else?
No, totally different. It's
okay.
A Buddy Wayne student.
I
don't think she was going to the same class Nick was going to.
Yeah, Nick must have been somewhere else.
Couldn't have been.
Somewhere else with it. Nick from the logo with it,
Rebel Kell was not. Look, Bobby Tyler running slower than Shotzi Blackheart. No, Mariah May is way better than than most of them guys I was seeing in 2019. So, it has worked out a lot better than I thought that was. I thought like they were setting Mina up for failure.
Shotzi Blackheart runs slower than Hurricane Wind, bitch.
Oh my god. That's fucked up because the last Hurricane we had, like, it was so slow. We caught so much rain because it was moving so slow. Oh shit. Oh my god. All right, I think it's time to wrap it up there. Now we get into real negative territory.
Gotta go.
Man. Thanks
But
for
yeah,
listening,
man.
y'all.
Before that, make sure y'all check out my new music video. Put one out for Dream Machine. Buy the album, Dream Machine, in the comments. Pay what you want. Don't be cheap. No, I'm kidding. If you want to hear it for free, you hear it for free. If you want to pay whatever you want for it. And yeah, watch the video and shit. And look out for the interview with Kenny Omega coming shortly.
Yes. And that will be on our solo feed, which we suggest that you follow and subscribe to if you are following and listening to us from the Social Suplex thread. Or not thread, but subscription. So thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us. I can't even talk. I'm mush mouth. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with, and listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Smoking on them Philly blunts.
Yes, Philly Blunts. Look, Patrick Mahomes Sr. named that boy Levon. For all y'all that are surprised about his dad, let it be known. He raised, look, if your name is Levon, he intended you to be a nigga. Look, don't get it confused, but yeah, goodbye.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU10 for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU10 for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Oh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.